Live from beautiful downtown Bastrop, it's time for the Stage Select, starring Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
What could this possibly be? Seems a lot like a podcast. Wonder what specifically. Talking about video games with your hosts. You're in good hands, not more of the same. Now we'll jump right in. So expect the unexpected and more. Now we'll get groovin'. There ain't always gonna walk through the door. There just might be some strategy in this. Just having fun with a special guest. Time for Stage Select.
And here are your hosts, Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
Welcome, one and all, to the Stage Select. I'm Julian Titus.
And I'm Justin Ham. Hi. Reggie's wife could learn a thing or two.
I'm sure she could.
Yeah, she could.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We going to learn about this later on.
I don't know.
today,
Maybe.
or-
Who knows? Who can say?
Who can say indeed?
There might be like one person out there listening to this is like, I get it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, sometimes you got to say the thing for the one person.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, that's me.
But then again, I might talk about a thing and then other people might go look at said thing that I'm talking about and then go, oh, now I get it too. So there you go.
Yeah. It works on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Just like this podcast.
I don't know about
we
that.
are a video game variety show. We have our moments.
Yeah.
We are back. We have things to talk about. We'll talk about them. That's what we do. And then at a certain point, we'll run out of things to talk about, and we'll end the show.
That's
And then we'll
yeah,
do it
that's
again.
good. That's a good idea for it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. I think it works.
It works well.
Yeah. One quick announcement two quick announcements before we jump into things. I just wanted to shout out friend of the show, Bill Tucker from A Gamer Looks at 40. Guested on an episode of the Still Loading podcast recently.
Okay.
Which was the Final Fantasy draft, where he gets like 4 guests together and they basically draft characters and setting and villains and stuff like that from the series in order to make a Final Fantasy game that they then pitch to the listeners.
Damn. Okay. All right. They're making a game though. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Not for sports.
I still want to do Final Fantasy football. I still want to do it. I don't know how it works, but the name is right there, Julian.
It is.
It is. No one's doing it.
Yeah. Back at Game Fellas, we had this idea for I think it was Samurai Football.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what it was, because the magazine ad for Samurai wait, let's see. Not Samurai Warriors. There was a Samurai game for the PS2. There was a sequel to a game that came out on the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something Samurai like 20XX or something like that. I forget the full name.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
But the magazine ad had like the feet of like both factions like just kind of like lined up in front of each other, and we were joking that it looked like they were just like squaring off on like the scrimmage line at a football game.
Okay.
And then we had this idea for like Nobunaga, I think it was Nobunaga's like football league or something like that, and we kind of went off with it.
Nobunaga's
like,
Revenge Football.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And like, you'd be able to like, use katanas and stuff, and it'd be like bloody and all that. Like it was a fun idea. But anyway,
Romance of the Three Kingdoms of football.
Yes. Have like a light strategy element to it as well.
Yeah,
like,
well, every district gets its team, and then they fight. It's football with swords or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But you could also send like ninjas to spy on the other team, and
that'd be good.
Like you still got to collect resources for your province.
Yeah, you're Bill Belichick basically, but Chinese.
Yeah,
it'll work. Yeah.
That's the title of the episode. You're Bill Belichick, but Chinese.
It's a good title. It's a good title.
We'll see. That we'll workshop.
Yeah, we'll
see. A definite contender.
It's contending. Yeah, that's good.
It was a very fun episode. I had not heard it before. I think I've seen him like tweet about the fantasy draft before. But Bill was fantastic.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds cool.
And the way that Bill did it, he actually got me thinking, like, if I end up on that show, I'm going to try to pull some Justin style shenanigans. Like, I would want to have some sort of like ability to play like a sound effect of me conversing with like my team, you know. Like, or kind of do it like the Chappelle, like racial.
Oh, no.
Like,
here's
play some, you know, like some gasps from the crowd when like someone picks something.
Oh man. So here's what you do, Julian. Here's what you do. You start making phone calls and shit during the show. But like you have to like kind of move off mic and do it like from back here,
right?
Like you're having the phone call in private, but like out loud, and then eventually have somebody answer the phone call, because that's what they do. More on this later. This happened in a video game that I played.
See, we both need to be on it at the same time because we would bring the shenanigans to like such a degree that
it'd be too much. Be too much.
Nah, never.
Right,
We're never too much. But again, it's the Still Loading podcast, and it's the Final Fantasy draft, and I recommend it. I'll have a link to it in the show notes as well, to the actual episode. Yeah. But I highly recommend checking it out. Go support Bill, and then also we have a winner for the next game that we will be playing on the Suffer Select, and it is Bioforge for the PC.
All right, I figured it would be.
Yeah.
Now I have to get a good old games account, apparently.
I think I have one, but
I think I do too.
I bought one of those like gold box D&D games for an episode that I guested on of Square Roots.
I played Gwent one time until I realized that it's not the same as what it is in the Witcher games.
Yeah.
And then I was very disappointed and never played it again.
That's still so shocking to me. Like, it seems like such a no-brainer. Like, you just take the game that people liked playing in The Witcher 3.
It's the same rules, but they made it a little bit more competitive. And I get why they did what they did. It's a little bit more streamlined, but like... didn't they also take some like weird liberties with that other like offshoot RPG where all the combat is Gwent-based? But it's not, that
it's
one,
still not the same.
I forgot about that one. It's been a while since
I know you didn't like it.
I didn't really care for it. And I think that it was the same idea where it was like, it was kind of the newer version of Gwent, and I didn't really care for it or something like that. It was weird. I'd have to go back and play it. And I don't feel like doing that. So, whatever.
Yeah.
But nothing beat Gwent in The Witcher 3. I don't know. There was something about it, man. There was something about it. It was real good.
I couldn't grok it. I was so bad at it. I'm so bad at, I don't know.
That's our.
I have some sort of weird mental block
That's our joint stream where I go on my old save of Witcher 3 and just like, okay, listen, Julian, this is what we do. This is what you do. All right.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah. And then I tell you like what I would play, and you're like, no, that was a stupid move.
Bad. Yeah, but but here's the thing: I have to remember how to play it because it's been a while.
So that's that. Again, if you are interested in the Suffer Select, and go on to patreon.com, and as for little as $3 a month, you have access to all of our bonus episodes. And I'll just let this be like my semi, like not very regular, plea to listeners to, like share the show in ways like let your friends know. I think one of the best ways is actually like if you have the ability to like make clips, like audio clips of episodes from your podcast player. I know Overcast lets you do that. I'm assuming that other podcast players would allow you to do that. And just if there's something that you like, and just like clip it out and then just send it to a friend, say, hey, this was really funny, or sometimes even just send them the direct like link to a show where they can just like listen to it like on the browser on their phone. Because, I think a lot of the barrier to entry for podcasts is a lot of people just don't use podcasters because they don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, sometimes once you get in, you're in, right? Yep. It's like HoloLive. Once you fall down the rabbit hole, you're in.
Yeah, sure.
I
found
that out this week.
Yeah.
Dude, I wasn't going to mention this, but it just kind of flowed in. There's like a concert happening in New York this weekend. I can't afford it, but like there was a moment there where I was like, I should pay to stream the concert because I want to see the girls perform. What led into that was that I guess at each group's 1 year anniversary, they get to re-debut with their 3D avatars.
Oh.
And so Advent just did their 3D debut, and I actually watched like a good chunk of like them all together doing their 3D showcase. And, you know, so that's them like actually in the same studio, and like they kicked it off with like them performing like their first song that they did back when they debuted. But now they're all like doing dance, like choreographed dance moves together and stuff like that. God. And like kind of hearing, you know, now that I've seen them like kind of talking about like all the work they do for rehearsal and stuff like that, and getting to see them do their moves, and like at the end, like two of them were like kind of out of position because one of them is like really tall and the other one's like really short, and so like it didn't really match up too well, and they had to kind of hop like into position afterwards, and I don't know, it was very cute. And like I actually got like a little emotional because like I know how hard these girls work, and like it's really cool to get to see them like do this, and I know that like by its nature, that job is like a very solitary thing. Yeah. And so when they are able to get together and like do stuff together, you can tell like how much they're having fun and how much they really enjoy each other's company. And it's just really sweet. So yeah, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I'm really in there now.
Yeah, you like, pretty much are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much.
One of my favorites, like she had, I think like surgery, like throat surgery or something like that. And so she hasn't been around for like a month or so. And I was like,
sad. Yeah.
I miss her.
Yeah.
I don't remember how we led into that, but that's what it is. It's like that. Whatever I was talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can't remember what you were talking about either, but
no.
I think it was podcasting, getting into podcasts.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Justin.
You're welcome.
That's why you're here.
I remember things sometimes.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's that.
Absolutely.
I guess I'll kick things off real quick. I finished Darksiders.
Oh, okay, cool.
Really glad that I finally finished that game.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed it. I neglected to mention like one of my issues last episode, which actually factored in really heavily when I was finishing the game.
I believe it.
Which is there's a few weird choices that they made with like button mapping.
Okay.
That makes certain things a lot fiddlier than they need to be.
Great.
And that was fine. And I think I hadn't really complained about it then because it hadn't really been a problem up until then.
Yeah.
But it becomes a problem later because the final dungeon is when you get like the portal gun, which I had heard about like back when the game was like new. Like there's like they threw a portal gun in here.
Right.
And so that whole last dungeon is based around the puzzle solving of using this portal device. And it wants you to do a lot of precise things where like you're opening a portal and then like throwing something through the portal at a very specific time to get it to, you know, latch onto something on the other side of the portal.
Okay.
But the controls are not, they don't really allow you that level of precision. And there's also like a lot of precision, like jumping they want you to do in some of these places and things like that.
I gotcha.
And it started to become like a real slog. And that dungeon, Justin, like for a final dungeon, I guess it's kind of what you want.
Yeah.
But I think my final timer was like 13 hours.
Oof.
And like 3.5 hours of that. 13 hours total.
Oh,
like
total.
for
I'm sorry,
game.
for the dungeon.
Yes.
I thought you meant for the. I was like, what the fuck?
No. But of that 13-hour playtime, like 3.5 hours was that dungeon.
Yeah, I got you.
And that is a significant chunk of that overall game.
Yeah.
Because I'll lay it out for you. So like you're trying to turn off these 3 moon crystals to free this guy, right? So first you have to like the first one's real easy. You just open a door and then you have to like solve like a few puzzles and you kind of go through a couple puzzle rooms like that.
All right.
Then there's a puzzle boss.
Oh boy.
And then that actually like energizes this giant moon crystal. And then the puzzle is like diverting the energy from that big crystal all the way back to the main room by using portals, right?
Yeah.
And then you do that 2 more times, but every time it becomes like just much more complex because then so the next set is like it's on another floor. So the puzzle is how to get to the other floor, and then the puzzle rooms after that, and then the puzzle boss, and then the puzzle of getting the moon energy back. And it got like more and more laborious like as I got into this dungeon. And I at a certain point I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I kept going. I did really enjoy it. There's actually some really cool shit in there. There was like some surprisingly cool, like cinematography with like some of the cutscenes like towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I believe it.
I actually really liked the character. I actually looked in the credits because I could have sworn that I recognized the voice actor for War's voice, but when I saw the name, I didn't recognize him. Okay. So I don't know who he was, but he has a really cool voice, and it made a character that just by nature is a little bit one note, right? Like he's just the Horseman of War. Like he's not as angry as Kratos, but he's still kind of on a one track minded mission. Throughout the game,
it was the style of the time.
It was, and it is very much like a style of the time type of game, and I tweeted that like it actually feels fresher in 2024 than it did in 2010 because there aren't a lot of games like this anymore. So it actually makes it stand out more than it did back in the day. Because that was definitely, I think, a thing then is that, it was, I mean, it definitely had a look, right? But like mechanics wise and everything, a lot of games were doing what Darksiders did.
Yeah.
I think Mark Hamill was a little bit underutilized. I didn't mention it, but he plays like your companion character.
Oh, okay.
He's like in your gauntlet and he comes out and like he says stuff once in a while, but they don't really use him to, great effect considering who they got.
Right.
But
either
I got
that
to the
or
end
they
of it
just
and I was like,
didn't have him for that long or something. So
could be. Yeah. He's doing what I call his dark Joker, which is it's the Joker voice, but he just puts like a little bit of stank on it.
Right.
And makes it just like a little bit more sinister.
Right.
Mark Hamill doesn't have a lot of range in his voices.
Yeah.
But I do like him as a voice actor. Although I will say that, like, I thought he did a bang up job as Wolverine in the Wolverine game that came out on like Xbox and PS2 and GameCube.
Okay.
Which people don't.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, people don't remember that one because because they put Hugh Jackman from X2 on the cover.
Oh,
and so people thought it was a movie tie-in game, but it's actually a completely original game.
Was it PlayStation 2 or was it 360, the one you're talking about?
No, it was PlayStation. I was working at Game Fellas back in this time, yeah. It's like a stealth action game. And yeah, Mark Hamill plays Wolverine. He does a really awesome Wolverine in that game. It is kind of punishingly hard in places.
Was there one for the 360 that I'm thinking of too?
You're thinking of the actual Wolverine Origins tie-in.
Yes, that's what I'm
like
thinking
the super gory M-rated
game.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Okay.
Yeah. Which is also a good game.
Yes, that's the one I've always heard was like, this is actually pretty cool. But I tied it in with that, so my brain always went, don't. It's probably not worth playing.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Fun bit of trivia. That was the last EGM cover game before it got closed.
Yeah, I believe it.
Well, the first time, because it did come back like a couple years later. By the time that I, got to the end of Darksiders and, saw the ending and everything, I was like, I want more Darksiders. I'm not going to play the sequel anytime soon.
Yeah.
But it kind of ends with, because like someone says like, oh, you're going to do this alone. And he says, not alone. And then like 3 other like colored
of course
meteors like come from the sky. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that actually got me a little excited.
Yeah.
Because I know that was always the idea, is that they wanted to, I think, eventually end with some sort of 4-player game where everybody's controlling one of the horsemen. I wouldn't want that. I would prefer a game where you're switching between the horsemen.
That's probably what they would have to go to, because I think a co-op thing would be a bit tough to pull off, maybe. But
I do too.
That's me.
Yeah. Especially, if they're playing as differently as I assume that they play.
Right. But it's hard to say.
We'll see, because like I said, last week, they did announce a new Darksiders game.
Right.
They're just calling it Darksiders though. So who knows what that's supposed to be. It would be funny if it was a remake I
absolutely could see them remaking it and just be like, let's just start over. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. It's a shame, because I looked up, I was pretty sure that I knew this, but I wanted to double check. And Vigil Games, the studio that started the franchise, like they closed after the second game came out.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was actually because they couldn't find a buyer for them. And then it was actually like, I guess, THQ Nordic at the time.
Yeah.
That purchased the IP.
Yeah. It was,
and then
they
got
bought,
embraced.
they bought a bunch of shit. And yeah.
Oh man, all that Embracer shit is just like tumbling down.
Oh yeah, of course.
Although THQ Nordic, like from that showcase that they had, they've got some stuff in the works.
Yeah.
And so somehow they seem to be avoiding, because I think they're still Embracer Group.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think they got independence, but I don't know. It's getting so hard to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, tough to say. Tough to say.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's possible Embracer just kind of like, just lets all those companies just like, hey, if you can be on your own, great, but if you can't, fuck off, I guess. Like, I could see that happening.
I could too. Yeah.
And THQ Nordic, for the most part, I think would maybe float. Like, they'd be maybe fine. They seem like they have enough.
They've got enough to be okay.
To be at least have something going on. But some of those companies would definitely probably go under. Just depends.
Like I keep saying, Crystal Dynamics is the one that I'm most worried about, because I have such a strong affinity for their output from like the beginning.
Yeah.
I think what that comes down to is if they get divested, excuse me, I'm not getting emotional. I've got like a frog in my throat.
I could tell. Yeah, nobody can see you except for me. So yeah, no, I could. I was like, I know you're not getting emotional. I just,
Look, I really love the Legacy of Kain franchise.
You were really into it.
I get a little choked up when I bring it up.
Yeah.
If Crystal Dynamics gets divested of their IP, it's over.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know that anybody purchases Crystal Dynamics. I mean, they could, because they've proven themselves to make excellent games.
They're working on that.
They're working on the Perfect Dark game.
Perfect Dark, which looks great.
Yeah, they're not wholly working.
No,
on it.
they're not.
They're assisting.
So
with
yeah,
it.
they have that going on, which might pay the bills.
Apparently, they are working on a Tomb Raider game, but they haven't shown anything.
Yeah,
They've
I guess
said that they are doing it.
See, I could see them getting divested of the IP though, because fucking Tomb Raider and shit like that is, maybe they have enough to keep things going. I don't know though. If they lost Tomb Raider though, I don't think they'd be done for.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're talented enough that they end up somewhere. I guess my fear is that like they end up like working on Call of Duty maps, or some shit like that.
Yeah,
right?
It's possible.
Because already, there's already like a Microsoft connection with the Perfect Dark thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, there's already people talking there, so I could see that being.
Yeah,
and
hard to say.
If it's the only way to keep your studio afloat and keep your people employed, like,
something to do. I guess
do what you got to do, right?
I have no idea how that shit will shake out. I guess we'll stay tuned and find out. But yeah.
Along those lines, I did see that someone did a Kickstarter, and I'm assuming it's something involved with Crystal Dynamics, because I think they own the property right now.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody put a Kickstarter out for a Legacy of Kain graphic novel.
Okay.
That met its goal in like 9 minutes.
Nice. That's cool.
Which is cool to see.
Yeah,
right?
that's cool.
So that's the first proof of life.
Yeah.
In I guess like 15 years. I don't know when that canceled 360 game got canceled. Like Dead Sun or whatever. But
oh yeah, I barely even remember that existing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I think its existence wasn't even like revealed.
No, I feel like I've heard that name, but I don't even, honest to God, know where.
Matt McMuscles did What Happened About It.
That's probably where I heard it from. Yeah, that sounds about right.
It looked cool. It definitely felt like something inspired by Hitman Blood Money, which is not a bad idea for a vampire game. That's kind of a
neat, for a vampire game. Yeah, that's kind of a neat thing. I could see that.
I think my issue with it was that they decided to like completely remove it from the time frame of any of the Kain and Raziel stuff. I mean, I get it, but I think the Soul Reaver wasn't even going to be, in the game.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I guess if that's your idea though, it kind of works as a separate thing, I would say. I don't even know where you'd fit that stuff in. See, that franchise is tough because it's been a long time.
It's been, yes, it has. At this point,
you have to reintroduce everything. Yeah, you have to. Because people are either not going to remember, or those games are too old to go back to.
Yes,
and
as much as I love Simon Templeman as Kane and Michael Bell as Raziel.
Yeah.
Those guys are up there now.
Yeah.
I think Simon Templeman might be in his 60s, so he could probably still do it for a bit, but Michael Bell is like damn near 80.
Yeah, no.
So like
probably no.
You got to get a new voice for those guys.
Yeah.
And like for me, a big part of those games is those voice performances.
I believe it, yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta come correct with like people to replace those characters.
Yeah.
Ben Starr for Kane.
That could work, yeah. Why not?
I could get into that.
Yeah.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This election, every vote matters. Even the votes of people with tomato gardens. Billy Hugbabies loves tomatoes and eats a tomato slice on his ham sandwich for lunch every day. Mitchell Mann hates tomatoes and told us he'd fight us on the streets if we asked him about tomatoes again. Billy Hugbabies saved a tomato from a burning church. Mitchell Mann lit a salad on fire. This election, the choice is clear. Mitchell Mann, too good for tomatoes, too good for office. Paid for by the campaign to elect Billy Hugbabies.
I've got other stuff, but I'll kick it over to you for a bit.
Sure, if you want to, I guess.
He really does like being on the show, guys.
No, I just like to fuck with Julian on these things. Yeah, that's basically it. Let's see. Video games I played. Let me start at the start. So, well, kind of, not really. I'm gonna go a little bit out of order because there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
So on stream, I played a game called Crime Scene Cleaner, and it was a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That game, when you started that stream, and I heard the name, I was like, "This is going to be some jank ass shit." And
I kind of expected it too. Yeah.
It looked surprisingly nice and polished, and then the longer you played it, I was like, AI.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if that's what's going on with that stuff.
More on that later because I have something that I played that I got that whiff again.
Yeah. And I might have something that's like that as well. But in kind of a different, more interesting way, but we'll get to that. That one, I'm not 100% sure if that's what's going on with that game, Julian. I actually think that the game it's definitely from out of country. And I get a sense that it might be somewhere in the Russia area where it was made, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Because it's the same. Now I gotta look this up on Steam. It's definitely the same publisher and possibly same developer, but I'm guessing like a different team, of course. And I'm not sure where these teams are or anything like that. But it's the same people that make like the House Flipper games and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, specifically for me, it was like certain like photographs that you would pick up definitely had like an
that
AI
stuff.
look
I
to
think
them.
that stuff I definitely got that. I even called that out. I was like, this looks like an AI photo right here. Like I know this face, like just these features just remind me of stuff that AI would pick up, or that it was like art that somebody made and they
put it through like an AI filter to like give it some
to
sort
give
of
it the
look.
realism thing.
Oh, dude. I saw at my work, like, because I've seen this photo like previously in emails. Some funeral director has like her photo like in her signature.
Yeah.
And she put it through like some AI filter to make it look like some sort of like Renaissance painting. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah. It could be a number of things. It could be like they upscaled it from that and it did a weird thing. It's hard to say, really, honest to God.
But the other thing that felt like that to me was the voice acting, and more on this later. But we are now officially in a place where you have to ask yourself, is this bad voice acting or is this AI voice acting?
That one I actually think is just bad voice acting. And the reason I say that is because if it is from the House Flipper people. And like I said, they're out of country. The House Flipper stuff has very similar voice acting, but they're a little bit more open about it because like you can hear the accent a lot of the time. But even when they're trying to hide it, like somebody's doing their American accent, like the voice acting is just weird and off. Sure. So I think that's what it is. I think it's just the kind of like out of countryness of it that's going on there. And I could be wrong. It could be that thing. And the other reason where I kind of go, well, it's hard to say for sure. Normally, and I did say this on stream as well. Normally on Steam, they are required to tell you if there's AI generated content on there, and there's no such thing on here. So, and that doesn't mean it isn't there and they just didn't say anything, but normally they are required to do that.
I have a feeling that most places are not going to divulge unless they get caught, and then they'll add it to their thing.
I mean, there are some that do divulge it though. So it just depends, because I've been scrolling through games before and come across that and been like, oh, okay, well that does make sense that is there. But yeah, so it's hard to say. But aside from that, though, the game's fine. It is neat. It's
a pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
I guess we should, explain like what crime scene cleaner is.
Yes, crime scene cleaner. It's basically you go into a place and you clean up the crime after it happened. The entire game is like you're just cleaning. You're getting mop and bucket and detergent and picking up all the trash and mopping the blood and getting the sponges out and using a pressure washer and doing all this stuff, and that's basically the game. If you played Pressure Washer Simulator or or House Flipper for that matter, it's a lot of the same mechanics in there. As that stuff.
And one thing I think to specify, because I missed the beginning of your stream, so I wasn't actually sure who you were cleaning for. Yeah. But you are like making crime scenes spick and span for criminals.
Yes.
So you're getting rid of evidence. You're disposing of bodies.
Yes. Like somebody else committed the crime, and you are there you were like a specialist that goes in. Well, I guess you're a specialist. I think your character's like maybe a science teacher or some shit like that. I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, he's in like a bad way, and so he's taking this new job.
His daughter is sick, Julian.
She is.
Yeah,
yes.
very sick and with diseases. We don't know which ones, but diseases.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think. So I really love the first level of that game. I think it's actually really fucking cool how they did it. Because you might have missed it, like, because you go through it, you get up, you go through this apartment, and it's all dank and shitty, and you get up to the apartment, and then you see the first body, and like, okay, well, that's a dead person, all right, well, and then you start looking around, and there's like, well, there's a blood trail that goes up into the attic here, and then you open the attic, and a body falls down, and then you're like, oh, there's more going on here, and shit like that, and turns out whoever got killed there was also like a serial killer and shit, and so now you have to clean all that stuff up too, even though and the one thing I did like about the first level, and I didn't find this in the I did play a little bit more off stream, and I'll talk about it, but the one thing I didn't find in the other two levels that I played that I liked about the first level was there's kind of all these, like, it seemed like there was like side stories going on too. Like, where I found like just some like random spot in this apartment building where it was just like, I don't know, this guy's just growing shit back here, and he's got like his own little drug running business and shit like that, and there's like keys hidden around to get into this stuff, and I was like, this is kind of fucking neat how they got all this little stuff going on.
Yeah, nice bits of like environmental storytelling, like Half-Life and shit like that.
That fucking song that you get from that drug dealer guy that's growing whatever the hell he's growing, I fucking love that. I'll jam the shit out of that song, man. That's a good song. Yeah, you pick up like tapes and stuff like that, and that's music. You can play that whenever and listen to it, which is kind of nice while you're cleaning because it's neat. The second level started to wear me out a little bit towards the end of the stream. Yeah. There was something about it where I was just like, okay, all right.
Well, so here's the thing that I noticed in watching you, because when you first started playing it, I was like, I might be into this.
That first level was really good. I really liked it.
But even the first level, something like this, I think you need to like build to certain things. Right?
Yeah.
And even in the first level, it's like, there's like 3 or 4 bodies?
There's like 3 bodies in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so much blood.
Oh, yeah.
This applies more in the second level. The first level, if he's a serial killer, it's like, well, he seems to be like a really bad serial killer because he just like kind of left the bodies like kind of like he definitely did a thing, ritualistically
right.
with like the main.
He was making
victim.
the paintings with the blood, Julian.
Right. And so that's the thing. If that's what he's doing, then why is he wasting so much blood, like just letting it splatter everywhere, right? Because it's everywhere.
I mean, yeah.
It's like up on the ceilings and shit like that. And when you got to the second level, like this was like a mob boss that like, took
Big
revenge
Jim. on
on some subordinate that was stepping to him. But there's like 5, I think, people there. But it's like,
it was nuts.
Imagine if like, and remember, these are supposed to be like professionals that did this, right? But imagine if like just some psycho went in there with like a machete and started hacking people up.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And made sure to like drain their bodies dry.
Yeah.
But then decided that's not enough blood. Let me like get some buckets of pig blood and just start like doing like a Jason Pollock painting.
Yeah.
Like across like the walls and
ceilings.
Why
wouldn't
and it's like,
you?
I could see that for a final level, like being like, oh shit, like something happened here.
Yeah, the level of escalation is a little off on it. I will agree with you there, yeah.
Yeah, and even just like narratively, right? Like it's like, okay, if these are professionals, I always think of like the line from Kill Bill. Something like the answer lies in the cleanliness of the carnage, right? Because even though like it seems like this is like a mass shooting or something like that, everything is too clean,
right? Like
simple headshots and like everybody went down in one shot and everything, and it's like like that's what it should look like,
right?
But the other thing, and let me know if I this might be where you were going.
Yeah.
I saw like even from the first level, it's like, oh man, you're having to go back to like bring out that mop so often.
Yes. And this was definitely the main complaint I had in the game.
Yeah. It feels a little too simmy sometimes.
Yes. A little bit too much. And almost too like, okay, so I think I know what they were going for. They want you to fill you get a bucket, right? When you fill it up with water, you find water points, and then you can take the bucket filled with water and move it. But if you fuck up and run it over or hit it with something, that thing spills, and then you got to start all over again and go fill it up. And so it's a pain in the ass. So eventually you just
it's very physicsy in like almost a VR game.
Yes,
sense.
exactly. But you don't have that kind of level of control, maybe. So you're just kind of fucking up every now and then, which I think is part of the fun of one of these kind of games is doing goofy shit like that, I guess.
Sure.
But at the same time, you're trying to complete the level. So eventually I just was like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to leave the fucking buckets here, and I'll just come back. So you get a sponge and a mop in the first level, and eventually you get a pressure washer in the second level. And you're basically just walking back and forth to wring these fucking things out. They never seem to last very long, which is, I guess real. And what they were going for is you have a skill tree and you can level these things up, like how often you have to wring the sponge out or the mop out and all this other stuff, and how much water can your buckets hold and shit like that. Yes. How much stuff can your thing hold? The problem is like I played it more off stream. I went back to the second level and I finished it. And then I went to the next level. And so I got a bunch of upgrades from, finishing the second level. And even with the upgrades, because I was like, okay, upgrade the amount the pressure washer could hold, because Jesus Christ, it just never felt like I could hold enough fucking water in it for it to do really anything. So I upgraded that, and I upgraded even like how much it could clean and stuff like that. I had a bunch of upgrades, and I upgraded like the mop and shit a little bit more. And I still went into the third level and was like, this stuff still doesn't fucking last nearly long enough. Like it just constantly feels like it's a chore. And it's part of that line that is hard to fucking walk in a game like that, where it's like, okay, but what's fun though? And it's just like, I get that you want to make people wring the mop out and stuff like that. I do understand that, but at the same time, you got to kind of make it a little bit more fun, just a little bit more time. There's a little bit of tweaking that still needs to be done, and they're still fucking kind of working on that game. So I'll give them maybe I'll go back in at some point and see what's going on with it.
There's issues with just this game's design, but I think you're speaking to a bigger issue that I want to get to. Yeah, but with this game in particular, like I think, okay, so for those first two levels, again, if there was less blood in the scenarios, then it makes more sense for you to actually move your bucket around, and then that removes some of the pain point of having to walk back and forth so much. Yeah. But in a situation where there's so much blood,
there's so much,
the thought of possibly like spilling that bucket and basically,
and then you have to basically clean that up too. Yeah, so you don't do it. So that's exactly it. You just leave it there. You're just like, no, I don't want to do that again.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then
go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but the bigger issue is actually a thing that I think is more systemic to video games these days. And we've talked about this in the past about turning everything or putting RPG mechanics into everything, but then not really understanding what those mechanics should do for your game.
Right.
And I think one of the really disturbing trends that I've seen over the last like 8 years or so is using RPG mechanics to make the game less annoying. Right. And I will, I talked about this back in 2017, but like Breath of the Wild, right? Like I don't mind the stamina gauge.
Yeah.
But I think that you should have started about like 2 levels higher than what the game starts you at.
You're 100% right here. That's exactly what they're doing here. Yes. I'm 100% with you. No, I don't like that. I think they would have been better served with, maybe almost giving you maybe the fully upgraded version or something like that, and it being fun. And then kind of adding tools as you went. I don't really care for the skill tree itself. I think it's a neat idea in theory, but in practice it doesn't really work. I think they should just all work how you want them to work and just really tweak around that. And then maybe add more tools and fun shit to use to clean up as you went, I think that would work.
This might be a little nitpicky on my part, but for me, it's a weird thing, especially when your game is trying to be so realistic. Because one of the cool things is that you can track blood around and make bloody footprints. So it's you can make things harder on yourself. You have to kind of
plan, which I do. I did appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. And no, you're right. There were times when you were playing it where I was like, "God damn, Justin, what are you doing?" Because you had this really interesting ADD thing going on with the second level where you would go to wring out your mop, and then on your way back to what you were doing, you would get sidetracked by something else and start working on that for a little bit.
Yeah,
and nothing was actually really getting done. Stuff was getting done overall.
Yeah,
but nothing was getting finished.
No,
and I was like, if I had hair to pull, I would have pulled it.
Yeah, no, I don't like. I like to jump around a little bit. I was like, let me go over here and see what this is all about. Yeah,
but for me, I think when a game is being that simmy, it's this cognitive disconnect for me where it's what do you mean the mop now can just be rung 3 extra times? To me, it makes more sense to just get a better mop.
Yes.
And have that be the upgrade.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I mean by getting different stuff. Is what if you had a different mop now and it's fucking cool looking it's going to look like a fucking mop, but it looks, different and stuff better. Like that. Yeah. It works better. I would like to unlock the Brillo scratch pads and shit like that. Why not? Let's get deep in there and
get those Mr. Clean erase pads that are
that's what work those fucking really well. Those are good too. Yeah.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, no, we're not. But anyway, stuff like that. I think that would have been a better idea for me personally. The third level that I played was interesting. I'm kind of glad I didn't stream it, because it was kind of like, oh yeah, that would have maybe needed to put a tag on this or something. Because what's that?
Naked bodies?
No, nothing naked.
Oh.
Just a girl in a bathtub who committed suicide. And I was like, oh yeah, no, this is like a triggering type of thing. And I was like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't go to this on stream with this one. Cause it kind of comes out of nowhere too. It's just like, okay. Yeah, that's it's a dark story. I do appreciate that they kind of go for stuff like that and shit like that. But like, if you are playing that, be warned that like sometimes they do go to places like that and it's a little fucked up. So,
just the premise of the game is pretty fucked up to begin with.
Really,
so like,
yeah.
But still, it's worth.
Yeah, there are certain ones where I was just like, oh, okay, all right, they're going here, so that's fine. But yeah, it's a neat idea. It definitely needs a lot of tweaking. It looks like they're still working on it. I'm guessing the skill tree is there to stay though, which I'm not a big fan of, and that stuff I think could kind of be a different idea, personally speaking, but you may play it out there and think differently. If you like stuff like Power Wash Simulator, look this one up, I guess, if it sounds appealing.
And I did play Power Wash Simulator when it was on Game Pass, and instantly, like, it was a similar thing where I was like, this is taking so long.
Yeah.
And, it's a similar, and I know that it's a very popular game. People really dig that.
Yes.
But again, it's a thing where I think I want the starting kit to be like 3 levels better than what it is.
I have to say, I didn't have that same mentality when I played House Flipper 2. I don't know how the first one is. But House Flipper 2 has a lot of stuff where you're walking into places and you have to fuck it, and it's like, oh, this place is a disaster area and you got to clean everything. But everything felt like super instant for some reason, but that might just be my memory of it. And I might be way off. But I actually remember I finished that game. I fucking beat whatever story mode there is in it. So
yeah. But you probably weren't having to mop up like literal gallons.
No. There was nothing like that. But you did have to mop stuff. You did have to clean shit, and you did have to pick up trash. But it never felt like annoying to my memory, and I'd have to look into that. I think that's my big thing. Is it just there's so much of it, and it takes so long to actually mop it up. Yeah,
like everything else was like because I really liked the way that like so you're getting like these locker cards to get into these lockers, and there's like some interesting stuff there, and then there's a little puzzle you had to solve in order to drain the water in the pool, and like there is like this secret VIP room that you were able to get access to that isn't part of like the main progression. And there's cool stuff in there.
There's cool stuff. It has some really good ideas. It really does. Even like the third level had some really cool ideas and stuff like that. But at the same time, like if you're trying to, I think one thing that I constantly like, I kind of figured out towards the end, it was like, or actually it wasn't towards the end. It was me looking at achievements afterwards and noticing how many people got 100% like out of the score. Like I was going for, because that's what I was getting. Like, because I was like, no, everything's cleaned up, all stuff is done. But like it was like it was 50% of people would have that, and then 25% of people would just be like, no, they finished the level, and I was like, really? They're just saying fuck it and leaving. Okay.
Oh well, yeah, that's weird.
That's
to me.
nuts.
Like,
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. It's not quite on the level of wanting to get like a silent assassin rating on a Hitman game.
No,
but you definitely want it like. That's kind of the thing you're there for, is to be thorough and get all the shit done, right? Like,
yeah.
There's a few. It's a matter of personal pride in your work.
There's a few times that are that where it gets kind of annoying, where like you'll miss just like a small little thing, and then there's like a sense thing, like almost like a Witcher detective vision type thing that you can hit to find dirt and shit like that. And you can hit that button, so you're just walking around just clicking it, and it has a fucking refill timer sometimes. So like when you're trying to find like the one thing that you fucking miss, you're just walking around like, oh my god, hit the button. Oh, wait a little bit. Hit the button. To
have that like on a cooldown is a weird choice.
And that's the skill tree thing. And we go right back around to where our power-ups are to make the game less annoying, and it's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, just design the game to be less annoying, please.
Yeah, just that should be your base game, and then everything else is the cherry on top, you know?
Yes.
But you know, that's what they did, and that's what it is. But it's a neat little thing. It's not going to blow anybody away, but it's neat. So that's Crime Scene Cleaner.
Yeah.
While I was streaming Crime Scene Cleaner, I'm just going to go right into this, Julian. I'm just going to go right in. I'm sorry, I'm not asking for permission. While I was playing that, at one point, I started talking about EA Sports Madden 25. And I was having a good time with it at that point. And this EA Sports Madden 25, I don't know why I keep saying the full name like that. Madden 25 is a tale of 2 days. 3 days. Let's say 3. Okay. A tale of 3 days.
Not to be confused with the previous Madden 25, which was the 25th anniversary.
Yeah,
Madden.
don't get. That's why they probably put the EA Sports part in front of it, so it's you can differentiate. They should have just called it
Madden 2025. It would have been fine. Like,
well, Julian, that's too many numbers. So we can't do that. No. But anyway, so I bought that the morning that it was Saturday morning. I woke up for some reason and I was looking at the front page of Steam and I was like, all right, I don't know why I clicked on Madden, but I was like, I don't know, it's here. I'll click on it. Sometimes I just like to go and I'm like,
you got up and the first thing that you heard in the back of your head was, are you ready for some football? And you said, yes.
It's Monday night. It was Monday night. It wasn't, but
no.
But no, I looked at the Steam page, and normally I like going on the sports games because the reviews are almost overwhelmingly negative almost every time. Like, it's just people just thrashing it, and it just makes me laugh because it's people that clearly have put hours and hours into the game already or whatever, and they're just pissed, and I just love to see what they're pissed about. And so that entertains me. Like, FIFA reviews are great, or they were. Yeah. Now it's FC. I don't know what the fuck that game is called anymore. It's not FIFA anymore. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I went on there and I go to the reviews part and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, people are actually somewhat positive on this one. And I've been, for some reason, I haven't played a Madden in, I want to say over 15 years at least.
Oh, okay.
It's been a long time. It's been, the last one I played was on Xbox 360. Like, that was the last time I played Madden. That is so.
So you didn't play the one with the weird Spike Lee written story mode? Okay.
I did not.
Man, I feel like for sure you would have played that one because that just seems like your type of shit.
No, I did not mess with any of that stuff. Okay. So I'm going, and it's been long enough to where I'm just like, that I could see myself maybe having a good time with this. Let's see what happens. So I downloaded it, and I'm in there, and I'm like, okay, all right, let me remember how football works. And I start playing it, and it's almost like riding a bike where eventually I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember. Like, I played my first game and I shut the computer out like 60 to nothing because I put it on rookie because I was like, let me remember how to play because I'm going to be bad at it. And I was like, okay, no, I remember how to play. We're still good. So I bumped up the difficulty, and I was like, okay, what mode do I want to get into? I don't know anything about football currently. Back when I did play it, I did kind of know what was going on in modern football. Mm-hmm. So I knew like players and who was good and stuff like that. But now I know, I don't know shit. I haven't paid attention to that shit in fucking years. So I was like, all right, franchise mode might be a little difficult. What if I went to like the player mode? That seems fun. That's like football, the RPG. I can just make a little guy, and I can have Tyrone. It'll be just like old times. It'll be Tyrone Swift, and we'll be out there. We're gonna be the best fucking pro athlete ever. And so I did. I made my guy. The character editor was fine. It's nothing that you're gonna write home about, but it's fine. I made a quarterback because that's the fun position to play to me. Because you got to make the decisions. And it's fun. So I made it, and I genuinely was having and I don't have to play defense. I hate playing defense. I'm fucking terrible at it. So that's the other thing that appeals. It just skips over it, which is fun because then you get to the end of a game and you're like, well, clearly our defense lost this for us. I mean, look how many points they had. I mean, there was nothing we could do. which is dumb. But that's the kind of role playing I do in this sort of thing.
Do they let you do like the post game interview thing?
Sometimes they do.
It'd be neat if you can do that and actually have like choices that you can make.
Like I got drafted by the Jets.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like, even I know that's like a...
nothing you can do, I was the quarterback of the Jets, we're going to make the best of it. We were a different organization, Julian. We're making big changes, and we were doing good things. So I got drafted there, and I was, I was the quarterback, and like I got the phone call from the coach, and that's what I was talking about earlier, where it's just like you get the phone call, and you're like, we're going to draft you, and you're like, all right, great. So playing for the Jets. But like, yeah, sometimes like you're talking to your teammates and shit like that and picking stuff, and that gives you a boost in the next game. And you're talking to the media, and they're like, who's to blame for this loss? And you're like, I don't know, man. Fuck. It's not like it used to be, though. I really miss the old options you used to get, like way back in like the PlayStation 2 Xbox era, where they really leaned into like the like the almost Paragon Renegade type shit, where it was like, do you want to be like the good guy team player, or do you want to talk some mad shit? And I would just talk mad shit. It was great. And like that had different consequences. Like suddenly your team doesn't trust you because you're out there talking mad shit on people, but you're great. You're doing good. So that was fun. They don't have anything quite like that now, which is kind of a bummer. At least not that I've seen. But anyway, so I was having a pretty good time with it. I was like, okay, I can see myself doing this for a week or whatever. This is a fun little dumb thing to do. And I'm getting kind of the same feels that I used to get, where I'm just like, oh yeah, it's a dumb thing to do. I'm just having a good time, just role playing my little guy, and I'm gonna take the fucking Jets to the goddamn playoffs and maybe the Super Bowl. Who knows? I don't know. Probably will lose that, but I'm gonna get to the goddamn playoffs. That's what because I was on my way, and that was the first day. Now the second day, So I got into one of the games, and it hits about the third quarter, and I'm doing pretty good. I'm having a pretty good game. I'm not blowing anybody away or nothing, but I was doing pretty damn good. I was winning by a lot. And all of a sudden, I got this pop-up that said, hey, you've lost connection to the EA server, and we're going to boot you out of the game. And I was like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
But whatever. No problem. I'll just go back to the main menu. I'm sure it saved. And then I went back in, and it was like, no, it did not save. So you will have to play that whole game over again. And I was like, okay, well, that's a pain in the ass. Well, hopefully it doesn't do that again. So I start playing it again, and it does it to me again. And I was like, okay, that's infuriating. Mm-hmm. Let's quit for a little while. let's give this an hour. Maybe they're having some server issues. Let's give this an hour. And I was like, because I didn't have any of this problem on the first day I played it. So I give it honestly more than 1 hour. It was a couple. I think I went in and played the next thing that I'll talk about down the line or whatever, and started playing that. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's boot Madden back up. Fuck it. So I start playing it, and it doesn't matter what quarter it was at this point. It did it to me again, and I was like, all right, this is bad. I played the Dolphins I don't know how many fucking times. Just trying to get through.
Laces out, Justin.
Yeah.
Laces out.
Yeah, it was, oh my God. It was the Dolphins and the Seahawks, like those two games. Like I finally got through the Seahawks game and got to the Dolphins. I was like, okay, seems like it's working pretty all right. And then it would boot me out again. And it'd be like, you'd be doing great. You'd be in like the fourth quarter. Like it'd have you in like this false sense of security. Like, okay, I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think we've finally gotten past that. You'd be in like the fourth quarter. Like you almost got 300 yards passing. You're doing really good. And then it just boot you right the fuck out. And all this could be like circumvented if it just fucking saved in the middle of the game. Because I would be like, that's annoying that it kicks me out to the menu and I got to sign back in or whatever and go back in. But it's saved right there. I'm just a drive back. That's fine. No big deal. No.
Yeah, but I agree with Vinny Caravella. I think it's never been a better time to play video games. I think that for the most part, games have risen to a level across the board that I couldn't have dreamed of, like when I was a teenager. And I think that there's a lot more good with like playing video games than bad. Industry is a different kettle of fish. But one of the biggest problems that I have with modern gaming is the always online thing.
Yep.
And that's the thing, right? Like, I understand that you can play Madden online.
Yes.
That's awesome. You should have that. But if you're not playing online, what the fuck does it matter?
Why does it matter?
Signed into the server.
Well, here's why they do it that way, Julian. Because in that mode, there's a separate part when you're not playing the league stuff where you can go in and buy little swag for your little man. And he can run around, and there's a little multiplayer mode attached to it. So they don't want you to get the points if you're not online. So it has to save at all times and be online because of the little fucking shit they're trying to do with microtransactions.
Well, okay, then in that case, then they should be doing the from thing where it's constantly saving.
It's constantly saving. That would make sense to me too, because they're kind of trying to make you like live with your decisions or whatever. Like, hey, you threw a pick, like fucking live with it. That sucks, but you fucked up. And like I was doing that for the most part, but like at one point I remember figuring out like, oh, if I quit out of the game, like we'll just erase that just we can just go back in. It's fine. But like I was trying to like actually like no he got me. I fucking threw a bad pass there. That was terrible on my part. Like it's funny watching me play Madden is just watching me melt down silently a lot of the time because I'm just like, why the fuck did you do that, Justin? That was so bad. You deserved that. You deserved that. But yeah, it kept doing it, kept kicking me out. I was like, this sucks. This fucking sucks. I've never left a bad review for a Steam game. Madden 25 is the first one where I went on there and I was so livid at the end when it kicked, because it was the fourth quarter one that really got me, and and I was just like, I'm done. We're done. That's it. I can't do it anymore. And I went on there. I was just like, this always online bullshit. Like, it's not my first exposure to that. Obviously, that's happened.
Right.
A lot of games do that.
A lot. Yeah.
But
it's always annoying. Again, if you're doing single player stuff, it's exceedingly annoying.
It's especially annoying. Yeah.
I forget what I played recently where it was a single player game and I got disconnected from something and it booted me out, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
Hitman has that problem sometimes. But if I remember right, it doesn't like kick you out. It just is like, you're not going to be on the leaderboard or whatever. And you're like, I don't give a fuck about that. Like, who fucking cares? Like, that's fine. Or like I said, it isn't so much of a problem if you just autosave it. It's really annoying, and I would fucking rail against it, no doubt. But at the same time, I'd be like, that's really stupid and annoying, but I didn't really lose much, or
I lost the time that it took to log back in. And
exactly. It's a pain in the ass, but whatever, fucking fine. But no autosave, nothing like that. And like in the thing I left on Steam, I basically was like, listen, I'm putting this up here for people like me that are coming that haven't played one of these in a while. This is what this is. Like, this is what it is. Like, for all of you people that play this all the time, this review is not for you, because I know you know what this is. I get it. No, this is for the dipshits like me who are like, let's try the Madden now. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, like, the football played fine. Like, it felt good. I was having a great time up until that shit. And yeah, I could switch to like the franchise mode because they have like an offline thing, so it wouldn't kick me out all the time. But I don't want to fucking play that. I found my fun in that game, and then it said, no, you can't have this fun. I was like, well, fuck you, and I uninstalled it and left a bad Steam review. EA Sports Madden 2025. I don't recommend it. It's not very good. Don't play it. I mean, well, I don't know. If you out there that buy these games every year, if you're listening to this, you're gonna buy it anyway. You probably already did. So I can't stop you. But to the people like me who are like, I don't know, is the Madden good? No, man. No. I mean,
but that's a frustrating thing. You just said, like, the Madden is good.
I had a great time. That's what makes me the most disappointed in it, is I was legit having fun. Like I was legit like, oh yeah, no, this is I feel like I'm like in my early 20s in fucking just stoned out of my mind playing Madden again. I'm not stoned out of my mind playing it, but the same vibe of just sitting in my room like, this is a fun little stupid thing to do. Like when I would rent these games and like have a good time for a couple days. It felt like kind of almost like homecoming type thing. Like I haven't been here in a while. I don't know what's going on, but like, let's see what the deal is. And I was legit having fun. Like I remembered how to like read defenses and do all my bullshit and fucking like I was getting tricksy again and doing all that sort of thing. And I was like, this is fun. I'm having a great time. And then that started happening. I was like, and now I'm not. So
as with so many things, EA got in the way.
Yes.
Let's revisit this exact comment in a couple months with Dragon Age.
Yeah, we'll see. Exactly. We will see what happens with that. I'm looking forward to that game. I want to play it, but like we'll see. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't recommend that one. Which bums me out because, like I said, that's the part that bums me out the most. Is I was having fun until they said you're not allowed to have fun because we need to make more money. Okay, great, cool. Fuck off.
And you weren't even touching because I'm sure there's some like Ultimate Teams bullshit.
Oh, there is. I had no interest in that shit. I was like, oh no.
But that's the thing, right? Like even that shit was not deterring you from your enjoyment.
No,
it's this other.
No, that's its own separate mode. And I thought I was like, oh, I'll just stay the fuck away from that. There's your standard exhibition mode and there's a franchise mode. And eventually maybe I would have tried the franchise mode out because those are pretty fun. Sometimes I could figure things out and I'll take some dipshit team that does nothing and try to win a Super Bowl with them or whatever. I was like, but I'll get there when I get there. And then like I found that mode and I was like, oh no, this is my shit right here. I like this. This is cool. I get to make Tyrone Swift decisions and no.
Yeah. So this is just tangentially related, but I was watching last week tonight, a couple weeks ago, because he was talking about football stadiums, right? And like kind of all the bullshit that goes around with that stuff. And he was talking about how, like, teams will just move if they don't get their way.
Yeah.
And one of the things he was talking about is he was like, and like the Raiders are threatening to move to LA. And I'm like, but they're the LA Raiders because that's what they were when I was in middle school. Like all the kids wanted the LA Raiders starter jacket. Like that was the one when I was in middle school.
Here's the thing. Before that, they were Oakland. They were the Oakland Raiders. Then they moved to LA, I believe. Then they moved.
Oh, they were the Oakland Raiders. That's right. Yeah,
then
they moved. I do remember
back to Oakland. Yeah. Then they moved to Las Vegas. So they've moved that team. I don't know how many times.
But I think specifically when the starter jacket was.
Yes. When the starter jacket was the thing, it was the LA Raiders. Yes. 100%. It was also the Los Angeles Rams were the other LA team. And then they moved to St. Louis and. I think they're somewhere else now. Ooh, I can't remember. I'd have to look that up. I almost want to say the Chargers are fucking in LA. No, boy. Now we're gonna look up modern NFL. Great. Oh, hold on. We have something for this.
Books. Check them out.
That wasn't it. I pressed the wrong button. I can't remember. I haven't pressed this in a long time. That's the one.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, we're here now, Julian. It's time to talk about
baseball.
That's time to. It doesn't matter. It's all sports.
It's all sports.
Football teams list. We got to talk about them.
Today is football.
Yep, today is football, Julian. Unfortunately, I wish I had a sound clip of that.
That actually would be a good clip to have.
It would be actually, and I could probably pull it off. I will have to look into that. No, most of these teams are about where I thought they were. New York Jets, Carolina, Cleveland, Arizona, Los Angeles Chargers. Okay, they're in LA now, and the Los Angeles Rams. So those are your two LA teams right now. So they moved from St. Louis to LA. I thought I remembered that. San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers that used to be in San Diego. As far as other stuff, teams moving, I think that's about it. The Washington Commanders changed their name from the Washington football team, which is my biggest disappointment ever, because they just didn't have a name because their old name was racist. And so they changed it. And then it was the Washington football team. And I was like, that is great. I'm a Washington football team fan forever.
You don't know what you're getting with that.
Yeah, it's great. I loved it. I was like, oh, please let them never change it. It was like, well, it's just until they pick a name. And I was like, no, that's the name. Just pick that. Oh, man.
We're in Washington and we have a football team. And this is us.
Get fucked. Oh, man, it would have been good. But they didn't do that. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm sure there was other teams that moved around. If you remember teams that moved, you fucking deal with it on your own time. All right. That's sports talk. We did it. Now we had a segment. Nobody can tell us we didn't.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Oh yeah, this is Mitchell Man and I'm running for office in this great state of ours. Recently you may have heard my opponent mention my dislike for tomatoes and I'm here to set the record straight. Oh yeah, You see, not only is my opponent a hot dog, a grandstand, and a prima donna, he's a liar too, and if I see him on the streets, I'm gonna fight him with my legs. Oh yeah, You see, Mitchell Man will not stand for this kind of slander. Oh no, and if I ever set a net that set it on fire, I don't remember it. Do you understand me? If you don't vote for me this election, we are going to have a problem, and I am not a man you want to have a problem with. Oh no, so this election you better make the right decision, or I'll be coming for you in the Silver Dome. Oh yeah,
Paid for by the campaign to elect Mitchell Man for office. Anyway, that's all I got for football.
Okay. Well, moving on to the next thing that I did. So we'll probably talk a little bit of Gamescom stuff a little bit later. We'll see how things go if we still want to or whatever. I guess I should say, like, because this actually kind of goes into it.
Okay.
I was not feeling well the first couple of days of the week, like just really exhausted.
Okay.
And so I actually called in on Monday, and then I ended up having to call in on Tuesday as well because I just was sleeping half of the day. But one of the things that I did on Monday was I just turned on YouTube like I do, and I was like, man, there's all these trailers popping up, and I was like, oh right, Gamescom, and I wasn't going to watch like the opening night live thing because I was like, oh, there's probably not going to be anything that I care about because it seemed like it was going to be a lot of like duplicate stuff from the Summer Games stuff. And there actually was a lot of stuff that I really liked, but there were a lot of trailers that were not part of the opening night like festivities that just started popping up because of Gamescom.
Yeah.
And so one of the ones that I saw was this game called Project Tower. And for whatever reason, like I clicked on it. I don't know why. It might have been the thumbnail. But I was watching this trailer and it had like very strong Returnal vibes. Like, basically it seems like I'll talk about the setup in a bit, but like it looked like, someone in like some sort of weird alien facility, they're doing like some bullet hell type enemies, but it's all third person shooting. And there was something about it. It had a vibe to it. I was like, and then it said demo out now for, PC and PS5. And I was like, okay. So I downloaded the demo for PS5. And I fire it up, and like the first thing is like, thank you for checking out our demo. We're a team of 4, blah blah blah. And it's an Unreal Engine 5 game also. And like I was thinking, Unreal Engine 5 is kind of lowering the barrier to entry so that a small team can produce a game that actually, I mean, it looks really good. Like, graphically, it looks very impressive. It's really pretty lighting, really nice looking environments and stuff like that. But I could instantly tell as soon as but even before I started the game, that this sure is a 4-person team because I'm like, okay, 3rd-person shooter. Let me go invert my look.
Yeah.
And so I go to the options and there's no option to invert look, Justin. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
And I get into the game and I, so like, the intro is like, it's actually kind of interesting. It's like it's a 1st-person intro and there's a radio broadcast going on. It kind of reminds me of the original Prey for Xbox 360, where the guy on the radio is talking about like, oh, this might be our last broadcast. Like, the invaders came and before we knew it, like most of the planet was gone and blah, blah, blah. And then while you're listening to this radio program, like you are getting like levitated like into an alien ship.
Okay.
And then you wake up and you're in this like jumpsuit with a mask and there's like a weird voice that tells you that you're part of like some sort of trial or something like that. And you move forward and you go to pick up a gun. And when you move forward to go grab the gun, it says press F to pick up the gun. And I'm like, oh boy. Okay. And then it switched to triangle. Like, once I moved my character.
I get that a lot playing on PC where I'm playing it with a controller and as soon as you press something, it's like, oh, okay. All right. You're doing this. Got you.
Yeah.
Understood.
That's definitely what was going on here.
Yeah.
And so, pick up the gun. And then of course, like I'm fighting with this demo the whole time because the look is opposite of what I'm used to. And so I had a really hard time with that.
I feel sorry for you invert look people because you get shit on a lot. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, we've talked about it before.
I know.
It's got some interesting things. So, like, I would say, it's an interesting game, and I had to keep thinking in the back of my head. Okay, 4 people worked on this, right?
Yeah.
So, because I definitely got the sense that like they probably didn't make all of these like environmental assets. I bet a lot of this stuff is bought from like the Unreal store and what.
Entirely possible. Yeah.
And then as I started to play more of it, I was looking at like the character in cutscenes and like his jumpsuit. There's like kind of writing on it and stuff like that. And I'm like, does this writing have anything to do with this game? Or is this just some sort of thing that they bought? Or is the stuff on the jumpsuit AI generated? Because there is voice acting in the game. And like, and this is where I, got that idea of like, is it bad voice acting or is it AI? Because like there is a part where like, the aliens would like start talking to you in English, like into your mind and stuff like that. And like they would say certain things just in a way that like, why would you pronounce it that way? And it didn't really seem like a language barrier as much as just like, that's just wrong. And my thinking is you typed that in wrong and that's what the AI read. And you just didn't go back and fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. The big telling thing was that at one point it said the word was beacon. And the pronunciation was bequin. And I'm like, no one would pronounce that word that way unless somehow you accidentally typed a Q in there.
Well, the only other thing I could think of, so I've seen some of that AI voice stuff firsthand. I've never done it myself, but it's a big controversy in Skyrim modding, and I fucked around with it once. Basically what they'll do is they'll just insert the entire Skyrim script and they'll have some random voice or whatever. Sometimes it's kind of neat because like, and they'll let your character will have a voice or whatever and you can pick different ones. It's kind of neat to some extent. Depending on, what, if it's, an actual voice actor, that's where the controversy comes in. Cause there's like one for Ciri or whatever. That's one of the like Ciri from The Witcher. That's the most popular one. And it's kind of like, I don't know about that one. That's where it gets dicey. But they do stuff like that. And that's just from the Skyrim script. So it's either reading it weird or it's something in the inflection of the voice because it does add that sometimes. And where it'll just do weird shit. Like I remember that constantly coming up where it's like, why the fuck would it say that? Okay. All right. Sure. Why not?
Well,
it's AI.
That definitely lends credence to my claim.
Right.
Now, I will say this game has some interesting concept. One of which is that you gain the ability to morph. And I find it funny that they use the word morph in 2024. But I think it's because the new Unreal Engine has that ability, and it's like, yeah, sure, it's kind of fancy again because you can actually morph the character models now.
Yeah,
and so like the first thing that you get is like there's these alien slugs that you're fighting, and so that's the first form that you get. And you can use it to like slither through like small spaces, but then there's a part where there's this walkway that's just like covered in them, and like if you try to walk on them, they'll just chew you up. But if you turn into one of them, you're just one of them.
Yeah.
Right. So you just slither across them and get over them. And then you fight like a kind of a mini boss. And you're able to turn into that, and it's got like this like really powerful like fireball attack that you can use to blow up the parts of the environment to get to progress. It's got a really big like Hulk style leap, so you can get across chasms and stuff like that. It's like, okay, this game's got a little bit of sauce. And then I fought like the first like boss, and it does like this like bullet hell type thing that I saw in Returnal. I never played Returnal, but I did watch some of it, and it's kind of doing that thing. And I think with the bosses, they're trying to do pseudo Souls / Returnal type thing where it's supposed to be like really hard. This boss was actually pretty easy, even with me struggling with the camera.
Right.
I think the biggest challenge was like, there's so many bullets, and it's like, I'm not really sure when I should dodge because there's just so much like visual noise on the screen. But I think it's kind of part of the challenge of it, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah.
And you're going up a tower, hence the name Project Tower. And each level, because you go through like 3 levels in the demo, and they're actually all different, right? So the first one is like this very industrial looking thing with high walls and stuff like that. The second one was more of like a canyon area, with, like I said, chasms and stuff like that. And then the third one was the boss room. I think that one had like a staircase, and it got more alien. But then you fight the boss and you go up further. And then you got out into this like really pretty like open vista where it's really gorgeous. And it's like, fields of wheat as far as the eye can see and like rolling hills and stuff like that. It's like, okay, like, clearly cool. Whatever's going on in this tower, like they must be projecting things or something like that, like simulating the environment for this person. And so I came out of it like being like, that one might be one to watch, but at the same time, I couldn't help but think that there's like this AI stink on it and it's like, man, I guess we're here. And again, I got to be nuanced here because AI has been a part of game development forever.
Yeah.
But I guess now they are calling it generative AI, and that's the thing that we're worried about.
Yeah.
Because I do think that like modern AI technology, there's a lot of things that can help with game design if it's utilized well and to not to replace people on your team, but to help your team do things faster or more efficiently to allow them to, make a game on time and under budget, and also maybe allow them to put more ideas into the game and what have you, right? Obviously, the people who are pushing for this stuff don't see it that way. They want to replace people. Yeah. But I don't know, it's this one situation.
This one, is more of a they have, well, like you said before, 4 guys working on it. So I guess,
yeah, they're going to have to, they're probably feeling that they have to take, as many shortcuts as they can. And I get it. It's so I've been thinking more and more about like, is there a way that I can shit out some like game that I can like charge like $1 or $2 for?
I know, right?
Try to make some passive income like Matt Jorgensen was saying. And like, I'd probably have to do some of that stuff. And maybe it would be placeholder until I could like, afford to staff, like get people to do like what I actually want for it. Right. But at the same time, like it's starting to get crazy. I saw, this porn game on Itch that had really nice looking hand drawn art. And then it turned out that it was AI, and I was stunned because I'm pretty good at being able to, spot AI.
Yeah.
This I could not spot.
Yeah.
Until somebody asked if they were using AI art. He's like, oh yeah, I could never draw this all on my own. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like,
we're
here now.
Yeah. When you start using it for like the art and stuff of the game, I think there's, it gets, that's when it gets dicey.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I was even wondering like, okay, this character model, like, is this actually like part of what they want for this thing, or is this just like some generic thing that they either bought off of the Unreal store, or B, just like
it's really hard to tell. I'm looking at the character model right now. This game is on Steam. I was kind of curious about it, see if I could spot anything. I mean, other than what you've mentioned, I can't really like differentiate anything. It's tough to say.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Now on the AI thing, I played that Inzoi character editor thing. But before that, I did watch like the game trailer for it, and a lot of that game's pitch is AI generated stuff. Well, not really AI generated, more like they're using it to kind of do shit in the world type of thing, which I found interesting. They're using
it the way like that. That's literally what AI is usually used for in games, and it seems like they're using it. This is what I want, right?
Yes.
Dude, as far back as before GTA 3 came out, and I know I've talked to you about this before, but when I read the first magazine preview of GTA 3, the way that it was described, I was picturing Shenmue, but in a bigger city. Because in Shenmue, like all of the NPCs had their own day-to-day lives, and they would go to certain places. And I was like, that's going to be amazing. And obviously that's not what it is. We still don't have that.
No.
But I want that. And Inzoi kind of looks like it's almost there with
it. It's definitely still a Sims type of game.
Yes. But what it's simulating is like...
Yeah, it's
cool.
It seems really, really neat what they're going for.
Even I watched that 7-minute like gameplay thing. I was like, this looks rad.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Now they do have some AI generate stuff in there in the character editor, and it's not so much for the characters or anything. They have it on like how to put this? It was a feature. I tried it and I could not get it to work once. At least not for what I wanted it to. And maybe it's me misunderstanding what the hell it's going for. But like, okay, so if you click on a shirt per se, right? You can go to like the texture of editor thing, and it has like an AI thing there where you can type in a prompt and be like, okay, I want this to be this texture. And it'll generate something.
I do remember that from the trailer, and that was the moment where I was like, ooh, I don't know about that.
And I'll tell you straight up, I couldn't get it to work for shit. So I'd probably never use it. Most of the time, it's like, you don't really need it at all anyway. And that's all it was for. It was just for the texture part of it. I'm sure you could maybe do something cool with that, but I think I tried to type in a couple different things just to see what it would do, and not once did it come up with something that I was like, yeah, that's usable. I'll do that. I was like, maybe I just don't understand how this works, and that's entirely possible. Other than that little bit, like everything else was like really good. In the character editor wise, it's a great editor for the most part.
This is one of the rare games where I would actually want to make myself.
Taking the bits of like the Sims editor and mixing them with one that most people are very unfamiliar with, but of all things, it's a porn game. There's a studio called Illusion, and all they do is just make this like character editor driven porn games, basically. But the character editors in them are incredible. Like just you can detail every little bit of everything. And it's kind of what it reminds me of here. It's like a little bit lesser version of it, but they've also taken like the best of the Sims, where like the Illusion ones always have like sliders and shit. These ones have, you're just clicking on a point and you're dragging it where you want it to go. And so which is what the Sims is. That's their character editor. You just click a point, drag it where you want it to go, and that's that. So it's taking, that and kind of making it this, and it works. It works really well. You got to mess around with skin tones and stuff and other shit to make it work. I can only imagine what that will become when the modding scene for it starts to become a thing, because the amount of stuff that you can add to it, like the hairstyles in it are perfectly fine, but there's not anything crazy going on. And I was just like sitting there like, oh yeah, give it a little while. They'll have all the fucking Black Desert hairs in here. They'll have all the fucking other Sims hairs that people have iterated and retextured a million times in here, and with physics and all this other bullshit. It'll be fucking nuts in no time.
Did you do the black hair test? Because ever since I started listening to Wooly, like I'm more like cognizant of that.
They actually have, like they're actually pretty good in that. In that area. It's nothing crazy, But like I think I made. I can't remember. I messed around with it a little bit. Nothing nuts, but like, and I'm obviously
but
I'm not
more than the the cornrows, the fro, and now the Killmonger. Like that's kind of the three that you get
you know
days.
what? They might actually, you know what? They might not actually pass the test if I'm trying to think now. I'd have to go in. I messed with it a little bit, but enough. I put a couple hours into it. It's one of those demos where you're like, okay, yeah, this is really neat. And I made like a couple characters and it saves the presets and tells you that you can use them. But after that, I was like, okay, but I can't really do anything else other than this. So I'm just going to kind of probably
But that's your
on.
thing. Like I can't. Like I figured you would have put like 20 hours into it.
I want to make a person and actually do something with them. Like if I can't do anything with them, it's kind of boring. You know?
Well,
what I mean?
I thought you would be like, okay, let me make like 10 people.
Oh no, I'll wait when the game comes out. I will. Okay. Because I'll make a person and then I'll go, okay, well now I want this other person to do this other thing, and so I'll make that. Like it kind of goes into that. Like I'll put extreme detail into one person for a while, and this one I was just like, yeah, but the full game's not here, so I'm just gonna I put a couple hours into it. It was really great. And also I guess like it didn't feel like it took that long to make somebody that looked pretty good.
Cool.
You know what I mean? So like they have presets and stuff like that you can mess around with, and they're
and
pretty,
I mean, man,
decent.
once you can like download other people's stuff, it's going to get crazy.
Yeah, it's going to get wild.
Yeah.
Now,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
It's semi-serious. It's
okay.
Mostly a joke. So this is the first like super realistic like Sims game that is being made, right?
Yeah.
And it is doing like a lot like AI a lot wise, like we said, as far as like the way that it's simulating like the behaviors of the people and the world and everything like that.
Yeah.
So when we get to the point where we can make a game like this that is so close to the real world that it's almost imperceptible, do you think that's when we become aware and realize that we in fact are also in our own game world and are able to see outside of the simulation that we are?
Sure.
God damn it.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, sure. Why not? No. You've completely thrown me off now, Julian. I should have let you finish with that. And I should have just kept going. God damn it. Now, playing it and seeing the stuff, I do have some genuine concerns about this game. Most of them boil down to, okay, so there's no release date on it that I know of. Mm-hmm. And I kind of keep expecting it because I'm like, they're showing this. They have a demo out. They put a demo, like a separate, like an actual gameplay demo out for like certain people. Like you can find it places.
Yeah, because this game seems so ambitious that I feel like, oh, this is like a 2027 game.
Yes, right. But this is out here, and they've let people play it, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And that's one concern I have, is that I'm like kind of worried that they're letting certain people play it and like the game's not ready to go, because my number one thing that I'm worried about in this game is like performance wise, I'm really like wondering if they can actually pull this shit off and make it perform like a video game and not have it just going like bonkers at all times. My computer's pretty damn good.
I will say that today I saw that it got announced for like Xbox and PlayStation. So
this one did? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was surprised to see that.
I am too.
I would imagine that you wouldn't be doing that unless you thought that you could get it to run on those consoles.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then...
But there's no release date.
That's true.
But there's no release date. So they have a little while. So that's the thing, is I think they're probably just like, let's make sure this thing doesn't run like shit. Because right now, like, my computer's pretty good and it runs it just fine. I didn't have any problems personally, but it didn't run the greatest. There's times where you'd load shit up and it'd like take a second and do a little thing, and you're like, This is just the editor.
And let's
the character editor.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit here. Your computer isn't just pretty good. Your computer's a fucking beast.
It's pretty good. Yeah. It's very good. Don't get me wrong. It's very good. Although my number one concern is in it is I've forgotten. I'm pretty sure I have one of the Intel processors that's been crapping out on people, which is like, oh good. Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, we'll see how that goes. But we'll burn that bridge when we get there, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is apparently a thing that describes me saying that. I don't know. I read that on Discord and I was like, I don't get it. But okay. I know I say it a lot because it was a Garth Brooks song. Yeah, I don't know why I say it either. But anyway,
Casey said it about you on the last episode, but I was like, you were pretty like not, like there are times when you will kind of like, burn down like my intentions on the show. But last week,
No, I loved. That's fun to me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know.
I get it. Yeah.
But last week was pretty like, I think we got everything done that we wanted to, that I wanted to accomplish.
Exactly. So yeah, no, anyway, I'm derailing. Inzoi, I do have genuine concerns about that. There's been like, people on the interwebs being like, oh, is this the Sims killer? And I'm like, I don't think so.
It's definitely going for a different demographic.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the same fan base because it is a Sims like. It is that.
Yeah, I think more just because it is going for much more of like a realistic full simulation.
Yes.
My thing, because to me, the most impressive thing of the gameplay trailer was them talking about the way that the world works.
Right.
Like, I mean, yeah, the graphics are great and all that stuff is cool and the animations look great, but them having like these very complex AI scripting routines and that's the part where I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's all going to work, but if it does all work, then that's kind of some next level shit.
It's going to be wild, like to see it unfold, and here's the funny thing, it can go either way, because like it's in the Sims market, right? The Sims has like there's no real game like it out there, right? It's kind of in its own ballpark, and it has been for a long time. So this thing comes along and people instantly, that's the only thing you can compare it to realistically. Cause it's kind of, that I can think of. It's kind of the only thing that's in its league really. And this one, and it's punching hard. Like it's going for a different thing. There were so many times when I was looking at like shit you could do. And I was like, man, these motherfuckers went and looked at just every single like hardcore Sims modding site and was like, let's do this and that and that. Like they already have like I want to say that I don't know if it was out or if they announced it or whatever, but they were talking about like, hey, there's going to be like a phone app that you can take a picture of stuff and you can scan it and put it as an object in the game. And I was like, yeah, that's what people do with mods, basically. They just are making shit that's real and just like, here, I don't know, here's some pack of Oreos, you can put them in your fucking kitchen. I don't know. It's a mod that I made.
But that's cool that you could just have that in your game, right? And that actually is, because that's one of the things that I've noticed from, seeing like deep dives into like how Unreal Engine 5 works, is that there's stuff that you can do. Like, I mean,
like I said, they took that idea of like, that's the popular thing. That's what people want. They just want, real life in this thing. That's a very popular modding scene. So let's just lean towards that market, which is neat. But when it comes to The Sims has a very interesting fan base because you do have to remember that it does appeal to a more like casual player. And a lot of that even comes down to like the art style and like the requirements of the PC that will run a Sims game, especially the Sims 4.
That's why I'm thinking that this is going for a little bit section of people.
But at the same time, if this thing is cool enough, And like I could see like a certain sects of people like, oh, what do I need to run that? I will buy that PC right now, because like those are the people that are already paying like all the Sims DLC and shit is like $1,000 to buy all that shit. I bought it over time, so it didn't feel that way. But yeah, I probably spent that fucking much on Sims 4.
Yeah. And I definitely have gotten the sense that like you mentioned this on the show. And then I had not heard about it before. And then all of a sudden, so they're advertising on Twitter, like quite aggressively.
I believe it.
So I saw that, but then I also saw people tweeting about it.
Yeah.
And then like the Gamescom, and because I think the Gamescom, like this 7-minute trailer came out, and it does seem to be getting a level of buzz that I do not see from the Sims.
Yes.
Because the Sim, I mean, if they announced the Sims 5, then that would be tons of buzz.
That'd be a huge thing. Yes, absolutely.
But, I haven't seen this amount of buzz around The Sims since it was new for Sims 4, because, at a certain point, it got to its audience. They love it, and they're over there, right? Yep. And people don't think about The Sims that aren't thinking about The Sims regularly.
Right.
But this definitely seems to be getting like a bit of groundswell.
Yep. The only thing they tried with The Sims to get new people in was they made the base game free to play. And I'm guessing that will be probably their model with Sims 5 is like, hey, it's free to play, and then you do everything a little bit at a time or whatever.
Right.
And we'll see how that goes. The rumor rodeo, yeehaw. That Project Renee, which is the next Sims game, whatever the fuck it is. It could be Sims 5, it could be a different thing. It hasn't been announced, so you don't know. It's just they've referred to it as Project Renee. Is in some sort of development hell at the moment, so nobody really knows what the fuck's going on with it. There are people that have said they've worked on it and that it's going great, and then there are other people that say no, not so great going right now with that, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're just maybe just gonna keep making Sims 4 for a while. So who knows? And now this thing's coming, so. If anything, maybe it'll force them to get their shit together on that and figure out what they want to do, because it's going to be interesting. I really am excited to play that game and to see if it works as advertised and how all that stuff goes, and if it doesn't perform like shit, because it's a genuine concern. I'm trying to remember what the this is. Let me look real quick. I have it here. Let's go to the store page for the Inzoi character editor. The minimum requirements require a 2060 graphics card, and the recommended is a 3070.
Yeah. And that's a big ask, because I do hear that Steam routinely does the hardware surveys or whatever, and by and large, the vast majority of people are still on like a 1080 or lower.
Right, exactly, and that's what I mean. And there's certainly there are games that come out that are of those requirements and stuff like that. That certainly is a thing. But a lot of those games you can also play on the console, which I guess this one you can too. I didn't know they had announced it like that. So
and we'll see, because I'm not normally a sim guy just across the board, but I was like,
the fact that it has you interested says a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fascinating. So we'll see how it goes. I'm genuinely curious about that one. And like I said, the character editor demo that they put out was pretty promising. Other than the AI thing that I couldn't get to work, and I'm kind of unsure about. I wish they just let people just make textures and put them in. Make it its own little modding scene or something like that. That'd be kind of nice. And maybe they can. Maybe you can do that. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But God, that was the only aspect of it. I was like, well, I can't get this fucking thing to work, and so fuck it, I guess. I wasn't that thrilled with it anyway, but I was like, well, I might as well try everything. But yeah, Inzoi seems promising.
Yeah, it does.
The State Select is made possible through the support and funding of viewers like you. Here are our wonderful patrons.
Well, before we move on to my next thing, Justin, I think we should take some time to thank our wonderful patrons.
Sure, we can do that.
Yes. We appreciate all of our lovely patrons, but every week we like to thank our executive producer tier. And this week we have Xavier Krager.
We have Stephen Lobo.
We have Philip P.K. Becker.
We have Matt Jorgensen.
We have Joel Thoman.
We have Xrian.
We have Eric Peacock celebrating 3 years of the Soundtracker podcast. Nice. I saw that he just announced that today. So congratulations, Eric. I know that you have had a lot of difficulty kind of keeping that show afloat, and I really appreciate you still out there doing your thing, because I know it takes a lot of work to do that podcast. So
you're doing a great job, Eric, and you're a good person, and I like you very much.
Yes.
I want you to come on this show soon. We have Dennis Robertson.
We have David Portnov.
We have Casey Curran.
We have Bookie.
And we have Big Baker.
Yes.
Which rhymes with Ridge Racer, and I always want to announce it like that.
Big Baker.
Big Baker. Like
remember,
that's
Big Baker. Remember? I was doing the Ken Kutaragi. Was it Ken Kutaragi? Like on the PlayStation 3 E3 stage.
Oh, okay.
We've got Ridge Racer. Remember? Ridge Racer. And just like crickets in the audience.
That's kind of great. I love it.
No, yeah. That was the same press conference with the Attack the Giant Enemy Crab for its weak
phenomenal
weak point for big damage.
That's pretty legendary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that was also the same E3 with the Too Much Coffee guy at Ubisoft.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, or Caffeine sense. Man. That's what it was. Caffeine Man.
I vaguely remember hearing about that. Yeah.
God damn it! I miss that like over the top pomp and circumstance of E3. God damn it!
Where it'd be nice.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple other things that I haven't played too much of yet, but I can talk about briefly.
Well, hold on. Before you do anything, I don't have anything, but can we take a short break if you don't mind? I have to get a drink, and I would like a cigarette.
No problem. I will take a pee.
That sounds good, man.
Well, now that he's gone, we can really rap. So I was watching Bibu the other day. That's Koseki Biju, the sparkling gem of HoloLive Advent, but everybody calls her Bibu. I'm still not sure why, but it's to the point that even AI chat bots know her as Bibu, and it's a thing. Anyway, she decided to do a stream playing Street Fighter 6. She's never played it before, or I think she played like once or twice, but she was wanting to learn Street Fighter 6. And the stream was kind of just her like going through the basics, like, picking modern controls and going through the tutorials and stuff like that. Doesn't play fighting games, new to it. She was definitely struggling. But the thing is that Bibu's really fucking good at video games, guys. She might be the best overall person at video games that I've seen in HoloLive. Although Mume is really good at first-person shooters. It's kind of insane. But anyway, if Bibu actually sits and practices Street Fighter 6, she could become kind of a beast at it. And that'd be kind of cool. I would love to see a VTuber, like go to EVO or something like that. I don't know how she would pull that off, because like the HoloLive girls in particular, like even when they do like hand cam videos and stuff like that, they're required to wear gloves so that you can't even see like the color of their skin for, reasons, not great reasons, but you get it. I don't know. I think that'd be really neat. Like from all reports, she's like also like tiny. The thought of like this tiny little VTuber wrecking house at Street Fighter 6 at like EVO 2026 or something like that is kind of I don't know. That's kind of a fun thing to think about.
How do you taunt? I want to taunt too. I want to be toxic. Okay, done. Who wants to get taunted?
It's bad, y'all. I don't know. The Promise girls are getting their Nendroids finally, and I'm kind of low key waiting for the pre-orders to start so that I can get a Crony and Mume Nendroid. Oh boy. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a fucking problem. They're just really fun. And they make me smile. I don't know. I'm into the music. Not all of it, but I've got like a HoloLive playlist on my phone now, and I jam to it fairly frequently, especially when I'm doing chores. Go-Getters by Calliope Mori is a fucking bop. It's from the Suicide Squad anime that came out a couple months ago. It's just a really good summer song. It's a really good summer song, man. Oh man, this is turning into a Jeff Gersman podcast. When is Justin coming back? I can't ad lib like Justin. He's effortless at it. Like he can just go. That's why his streams are so good. That boy is gonna, like, if he keeps it up, boy is gonna like dwarf like the popularity of this show. Not a bad thing. Like, you know, I'd be happy for him, but his whole vibe is just like, it's so conducive to blowing up, and I don't know. One of these days, I just envisioning it happening. Like there's going to be some sort of thing that goes viral, and boom, he's off to the races. And hopefully he remembers to come back on, you know, to come to the stage select. I don't know what I would do. I'd probably move on, get a different co-host, but there'd be a moment or two where I'd be inconsolable. Okay, all right. When Julian starts quoting Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, it's time for me to stop until Justin gets back. But for you, it'll be instantaneous because I'll just edit out all of the upcoming silence. So yeah, I don't know if you heard about this, Justin, but they just re-released Doom 1 and 2 for the umpteenth time. But this is like a special edition that was worked on by Night Dive Studios, the people who they did like the System Shock remake, and they've got like a couple other like big, you know, big profile PC remakes that they're working on and stuff like that. And so I think this is the first time that all of Doom is available in one package on console for sure, but also on PC, where you've got Doom 1, you've got Doom 2, but then you've got like, what was it? Was it the master levels?
Okay.
And like, I think Doom Armageddon, and then like some things that I'd never heard of, like certain add-ons that were made around 1996, and then stuff that came out after that. And the big thing is a honest to God new episode designed from the ground up by Night Dive Studios called Tower of Rust.
Huh.
It came out on Game Pass. I saw this and I was like, oh, I might have to pick that up. And then it's on Game Pass because I keep forgetting that Microsoft owns Doom. So it was just on there and I was like, oh, well, I will definitely check this out.
Oh, is it the Doom Classic bundle?
Is
that what it's called?
I think it's just Doom 1 plus Doom 2.
Okay, well, I'm looking on Steam and it doesn't have a release date. The Doom Classic owners received Doom 2, TNT Evolution, the Plutonia Experiment, Master Levels for Doom 2, No Rest for the Living, Sigil, Legacy of Rust.
That's it.
New Deathmatch map, and the original DOS versions of Doom and Doom 2 and Doom 3. Okay, apparently I own this already because I think I own all of those already. So that's weird.
I think it might. I don't. Yeah, that's. It might be because you had owned some previous collection that.
Yeah, I at one point.
Whoa.
Yeah, you're somebody's doing something.
That's me.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yep.
And now for something hopefully better than whatever that was.
Ladies and gentlemen, we unfortunately had a sighting of the Phantom of the Stage Select Auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a brief glimpse of a cape, and all of a sudden, like, our recording stuff went to shit. So, Phantom of the Stage Select confirmed.
Yeah.
Repeat, Phantom of the Stage Select confirmed.
They're out there. They'll get you.
They are. Didn't hear any singing, though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But anyway, apparently I own this Doom collection thing.
Yeah. So my only thought is that maybe at some point you must have bought like some like definitive collection of it and they did it as like a free upgrade.
I did, and I'm guessing that's exactly what happened, because at some point I bought a bunch, like all the Doom, it bought Doom 1 through 3.
Yeah, I think because this definitely doesn't have Doom 3 in it as a SKU.
Yeah, and it was like it was like a collection thing, and it was on one of the Steam sale things. I was like, yeah, why not, for a couple bucks or whatever the hell it was, and I was like, why not? Now I'll have that, and I think I have like 2016 Doom, because that was on sale at the same time. Mm-hmm. I even have Doom Eternal, which I'm not even sure if I'm ever going to play, but I have it if I ever want to do it. Because like I said, it's just in a sale, and so it's like, all right, yeah, why not? Fuck it. So yeah, apparently I own that thing already. Cool, good to know.
This is a cool upgrade. There's a lot of interesting things that you can tweak to it, and there's certain settings that they know. So like when it first boots up, they're like, hey, do you want like these new menus, or do you want like Doom menus? And like I kind of switched back and forth, and I was like, yeah, let's go with Doom menus. I don't know what has happened, with like font design in the last like 6 or 7 years, but people are boring as fuck with it.
Well,
and obviously like the classic Doom font is a little blurry because, of the source material, but it's still way more interesting than what they were trying to show. And then like by default, they added like a reticle to like, you actually have like a crosshair.
Oh,
and I'm like, that feels
that's kind of weird. Yeah.
So I turned that off, and there's like lots of things that you can tweak to it. And that is nice.
Yeah.
It goes up. It plays at like 4K 60, which is pretty neat.
Yeah,
for
that's cool.
Modern displays and stuff like. And you can act if your TV supports it and your monitor supports it. You can actually go up to 120 frames.
Okay. Cool.
Which I haven't messed with, but I should check that out. I am a little bit disappointed in one thing, which is that, and it's funny, this was a separate thing, but at the same time that this came out, I saw a YouTube video of someone showing that someone had just modded Doom 2 with ray tracing, and it's transformative, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it makes the game so much moodier and more atmospheric, and that's not a thing that's available, like, by default in the game, although This is the first console version of Doom that allows you to install mods.
Okay. That's cool.
Now, it didn't work when I was trying it because, according to Stephanie Sterling, like, they just opened the floodgates and there doesn't appear to be any type of quality control. So there's just all sorts of, like, what you expect from mods, right?
Uh-huh.
Just on there, right? Like, oh, here's Doom Mario 64, and here's Aliens with Doom, and all this like shit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would kind of expect that, like, with ray tracing being kind of the big thing, wouldn't you have just like put that in the game natively, and obviously let you turn it off if you want, because it does make the game a very different thing.
I wonder, because I'm not sure how well the Xbox Series X even handles that. I know it does. It will, but I don't know how well it will.
It should be able to handle it.
It should for Doom, you would think.
Yeah,
but
because we're not talking about 3D assets.
No. You're right. You're right. It's tough to say. Honest to God, how that would all play.
So, hilariously, Justin, I was watching the Digital Foundry breakdown of this collection, and it runs the worst on the Xboxes.
Of course it does.
And that is hilarious to me.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
Well, actually, I mean, and the Switch. I thought this was very funny because, like, the guy, I think this was John Linneman, he was saying, like, so the game is available on Xbox Series consoles, PlayStation 5, the Nintendo Switch, and the PC. It's also available on last-gen systems, or it's also available on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
But we're going to focus on the current-gen systems, and my immediate thought was, then why are you covering the Switch? That is actually a last-gen console, guys.
I mean, yeah.
But anyway, I digress. The big standout here, because I played a little bit of episode 1 of Doom. One thing that I noticed is that the audio mixing seems a little bit off, because I was noticing that there were certain like audio cues that I was missing. Like there's a part in one of the early levels where if you cross a certain threshold, you can hear a door opening, and I couldn't hear that door opening.
Okay.
And that, you know, and I use that to kind of help me figure out like where I need to go.
Right.
And so little things like that I was noticing, like, and I don't know if that I just need to change like the audio levels of the specific things, but that was a weird thing. But I jumped into Tower of Rust because I was like, oh, new Doom. Like I want to see what a new level of Doom looks like in 2024.
Yeah.
And that first level of Tower of Rust is fucking cool, dude.
Cool.
It does some really, because at first it's just like it's a pretty standard Doom level, right? It's like, okay, facility stuff, you know, imps, soldiers, blah, 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 right? But at a certain point, like you flip a switch and it opens up this portal and some new fucking enemies come through this portal.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they added a couple of new enemies. They're kind of variations of the Lost Soul.
Okay.
So like they're not anything special, but still new sprites.
Cool.
And apparently there are like new weapons in this expansion.
All right.
And like new graphics. Like even in the facilities part, I was like, whoa, those are office chairs. Like I've never seen office chairs in Doom. You know, just little things like that.
You're right.
Like actual new
right.
assets. And you go through the portal, and then you go through like some very, you know, demonic looking stuff, and then you get to the end. And then the second level kicked my fucking ass.
Nice.
I died so many times, like just in the matter of a few minutes. And it's really cool. It's really well designed. I just think that like I may not be able to play, because I've never even finished like the original Doom on.
Yeah.
I've gotten close, but I've never gone all the way through. And I don't think that I can play this expansion on Hurt Me Plenty.
Right.
It's definitely designed around people who have been playing this shit for
years and years. Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
But again, it's very well done. And there's a shit ton of stuff in there. I am not prepared to go all the way through all that stuff right now.
Yeah.
I would like to one day.
Right.
But it is a very cool package.
Nice.
And I do hope that later on, like, yeah, maybe they do add like the ray tracing like support to it, because I just can't. You know, I've seen Quake with ray tracing. I've seen Portal with ray tracing.
Yeah,
and it really truly like transforms the mood of the game.
Yes.
And again, it's not something that I would want all the time, but I could see like playing Doom with that and it making it like just that much scarier.
Right,
where it's like, oh, I'm not afraid of this anymore. It's like, oh no, now I'm afraid again, because damn, that made this look so creepy.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
So that is Doom 1 and 2. I don't know what the official name of it is. I think it's just Doom 1 plus Doom 2 is what it says on the
that's
Xbox.
What it is marked as on my in my library as Doom plus Doom 2.
Yes.
But when you go to the store page here, let me see. No, it's still Doom plus Doom 2. So but there's also the Doom Classic bundle and the Doom Franchise bundle.
Yeah, it gets all muddy. Yeah. I will say that like you can still play old ass Doom if you want. You can actually play it at its original resolution if you choose.
Yeah, that's what I believe it. I believe it said that on the thing. So, but so yeah, it's out there. It's on Steam. And you might own it already if you're like me.
Go check before you go.
I didn't even. Well, thankfully, Steam won't let you buy it if you already have it.
Okay.
So like, well, that's not true, because I can add Doom plus Doom 2 to my cart right now, even though I already have it in my library.
Yeah, because it's still a separate SKU. Because you can get into that situation on the PlayStation very easily.
Yes.
Where I've done it before on the Xbox actually, where I didn't realize that my version of The Witcher 3 had the expansions.
Right.
And then I bought the expansions on a sale one day. And I was like, shit.
Somehow I
had that.
2 copies of fucking Doom 3. Like I own.
Yeah, that'll happen. Like Doom 3 and maybe the BFG
That's
version.
Exactly what I have. I didn't even. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I only bought one of them, but somehow I own both of them now.
Yeah.
Or maybe I bought them both.
You probably did. Like you
don't fucking know.
At one point, it was probably 99 cents and you were like, fuck it. Like,
yeah, it was there. And I have like I have kind of a somewhat like Doom 3 is not anyone's favorite Doom, and I realize that, but I do have like fond memories of when that game came out. Just because I remember we were pretty pumped about it, and it had a very creepy vibe to it. At least the first level. To play it. The first level, I thought, I still think is like is really cool. Because it was like legit scary. At least at the time. Now it's kind of like, all right. But at the time, it was creepy how it fucking all kicks off. But yeah.
Oh, also like a newly remixed soundtrack.
Nice.
That's really, really good.
Hell yeah.
But has the original in there as well.
Oh yeah.
If you want to stick to that, like really, really nice features. It's definitely worth checking out.
Great.
The last thing that I started after I finished Darksiders, I was like, it felt good to get through another smaller game.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try another game that I know is not that long. And I finally fired up Kunitsu-Gami,
Path
of the Goddess, on Xbox, which is the kind of mid-range budget game from Capcom that, I think when it first got revealed, everybody, including myself, was like, Onimusha? And no, it's not Onimusha, but it is very cool.
Nice.
It is surprisingly cool, Justin.
All right.
I really respect what they did with this game because at every moment it feels very aware of what it is and what it's attempting to do, which is be a game that is not a full price game but still has like that same level of current Capcom polish.
Right.
And I am consistently amazed at what that RE engine is capable of. Because this game is gorgeous,
right?
But looks completely different than, like a Resident Evil remake or a Street Fighter 6 or a Monster Hunter. That engine is proving to be like very versatile for them, and they're clearly working it in a way that is very cool.
Oh yeah.
But so basically what this game is, and again, like as far as like storytelling goes, like there's very little spoken dialogue in it. And actually like after the intro, it's pretty much like everybody is just kind of like motioning. Like there's not, so far there hasn't been people like speaking to each other.
Right. I gotcha.
And that's kind of cool because again, it's like, you don't have to pay for all that voice acting and lips. And also like the villagers that you encounter, they all have masks on that kind of indicate what role they are.
Okay.
But also as From has learned, you don't gotta model lip flaps when everybody's wearing masks.
It goes a long way. Yeah.
It does. So this mountain has been taken over by corruption, and you actually start at the top of the mountain, which is interesting. You would think that you would start at the bottom and work your way up, but you're actually working your way down.
Okay.
Demons have stolen these 11 masks that represent like different roles of the villagers.
Those damn demons.
God, man.
Always having serious ass demon problems,
Yeah, man. If I had a nickel.
Mm-hmm.
So it is extremely level based, Justin. And it's even like, replay this level for like additional rewards.
Oh, one of these types of things. Okay.
Yes. And the levels are very bite sized. Like you can get through a level in like 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how large the level is.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So the main premise is, you are escorting this goddess. She is doing this, like, I think it's a traditional Japanese type of dance that is used to, like, kind of exorcise, like, demons and stuff like that.
Okay.
You are literally carving a path for her through the corruption.
Okay.
To do that, you have to get these crystals. That's your main currency. And you get the crystals by purifying nodes of darkness, like, in the level.
Okay.
That will also free villagers, and there's like a certain number of villagers in each level that you can purify. Once you free them, you can use currency to change them into a job class, and those things have different things. Like when you start, you only have like the woodcutter one, and they're like a melee attacker, but they can also do like certain repairs.
Okay,
and then you get an archer. Obviously, they're a ranged attacker, and then I've gotten a third one, which is an aesthetic that. Their whole thing is that they can slow down enemies and keep them from getting to the goddess. The whole thing, the levels are there's a day and night cycle.
Okay.
During the day, you are purging darkness to get the currency, freeing the villagers, assigning them jobs, and then depending on the level, you might also ask them to like repair this thing or set up a trap or light these lanterns. And it's got almost a Pikmin vibe to that.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I guess, more apt maybe like Overlord if listeners are familiar with the Overlord games.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the princess is going along the path that you've carved. The push and pull of it is that you need to spend currency to carve the path as well.
Okay.
So you can get into a situation where, well, I spent all my currency on assigning these villagers jobs, and I can't carve the path very far, which is fine. It just means that once night comes and the Torii Gate opens up with the demons coming through, you got to survive the night. And the villagers will attack, you can set them up in like strategic positions. So you can have like your archers up on like a hill.
Right.
You can do certain things. You want to protect the goddess at all costs. And so, you can attack yourself. You're a very accomplished sword fighter. And your villagers can jump into the fray.
Mm-hmm.
But the enemies actually flood through at a pretty large amount, and they're tricksy. They will find like alternate paths to the goddess. And so, sometimes you got to like break off from the main pack and like circle around to like get these ones that are trying to sneak up on the goddess. She can take damage, so it's not ball game over if they get to her. But once she starts taking damage, you really want to be sure and knock that off. And, then if you get to daylight, the level continues, but you have another phase of getting currency and then carving that path. And so depending on how you play it, you might decide, well, I'm not going to worry about upgrading the villagers. I'm going to handle all the enemies myself, carve the path right away, and like just do this in one go. Sometimes it's going to take you a couple days to get there. But it's this really interesting push and pull to that. And the gameplay is very simple.
It sounds kind of like almost like tower defense, but like you have an active role in it instead of just like setting things up. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah. That's a cool idea.
Yeah. And then after each level, there's actually a boss level after that.
Okay.
And that gets even more like Pikmin-ish, where, you have like a certain number of villagers, you assign them roles before the fight starts, and then you kind of can have them, you can actually do like commands on the fly where you're like, charge, right? Like go all in, get on this boss, and then you can defend, like, no, get back around the goddess. I'll handle it from here. Bosses have like a stagger mechanic. So, once you that's kind of what you want to do, is you want to like get them down, stagger them, have everybody go ham on the boss, use like your special moves and stuff like that, do as much damage as you can, burn them down, and then have them fall back and then work on the boss some more. It's really cool. And every time that you liberate an area, you set up a base there, and you can have villagers like repair things and do certain things, and it takes them like a certain number of missions, right? So like you can go redo a mission, and then by the time you come back, they'll have that done, or you can go do the next mission, same thing.
Yeah.
But it's going to take you like multiple missions to get like each base completely upgraded. And so that's where the game is very much geared around, replay these levels. But I'm actually enjoying that, because like once you get upgrades and once you kind of learn like more nuances of the combat or the way that you can issue orders to your villagers, it actually makes it a lot of fun to go back and replay, previous missions. And like I said, it's very bite-sized. Like it's a game where you can just like hop in, play a mission or two.
Yeah.
Feel like you've really made some progress and then hop out. I've only played it for about an hour so far, and I've already gotten like 3 of the 11 masks, and it's very cool.
Cool.
I hope this game is doing what they wanted it to do. Obviously, with it being like a much lower price point and also being on Game Pass, it's clear that they weren't wanting this to be like a Resident Evil hit.
No, or didn't expect it to be anyway.
Yes, but I hope that this gains some traction and actually gets some eyes on it, because. More of this, please.
Yeah, it sounds neat.
It definitely feels like a PS2 era Capcom game.
Right.
And I say that in the best possible way. Right. I'm actually currently playing Onimusha 3 for a Games My Mom Found episode, and I'm like, fuck, man, PS2 era Capcom. God damn. Yeah, so good.
That was good. It was a good time for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I have to check that out one of these times.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I know that, like, I think for you, like, fiddling around with, like, that kind of tower defensey stuff might not necessarily speak to you, like, on paper, but the way it's executed is, like, very easy to pick up and play and do your shit.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So
sure.
that is going to be my next game, for the next couple weeks for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, that's what I've got.
All right. Well, I guess I got a couple more things.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, I do. I definitely do. You know what? I'll get the negative one out of the way. That way I can end on a positive, because I like to end positively sometimes. I don't actually think about it too much, but here we go. I played a little bit of Dustborn, which, if people remember, was a game that came out during this. Oh, the demo came out during the Steam Next Fest. I can't remember how long ago that was now, but not too long ago. Dustborn is, how to put it? It's fine, but a lot of the things that I was concerned about coming off of the demo are kind of like, yeah, no, I was right to be concerned about that. Where I remember playing the demo and being like, this is pretty neat, but there are definitely things here and there where I'm like, but maybe this isn't. It's kind of weird how the demo jumped around a lot, like timeline wise. Like, it was like, okay, here's this spot from the beginning of the game. Now we're going to put you like somewhere in the middle, and then we're going to jump ahead again and do this other thing and show you what this is like. And my immediate concern was like, well, what's the in between this stuff like? And I was like, well, I guess we'll find out, unless it's just going to do a lot of jumping around. And it kind of does jump around a little bit. It's really weird. My number one thing about it is, I just don't really, the dialogue's weird. I don't know. There's no real other way to put it. It's not an AI thing. I don't know if it's just the writing's not super great. And it's definitely going for the, like, make a decision based thing. And I don't know. There's something just off about this game, and every time I try to pin it down, I can't quite do it. There's something about the dialogue. I don't really find the characters that much, and they're really you can tell they're going for like a character based thing. Because it's the basic premise is, okay, all of your characters are basically the X-Men, but they're not. It's just the same kind of idea to me, where like, okay, there's this section of people now that have developed powers, but it's all through their voice, so they have to like say words. So words are very powerful. That's the metaphor that they're going for. Got it. Cool. But it reminds me of the X-Men, where they're like, the powers that be are trying to hunt them down because they have these powers, and so on and so. It's kind of that playbook, right? Which is neat. That's fine. But there's something about it that I'm just like, I just don't care while I'm playing it, and I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it.
It sounds like it's the characters, because
it seems like that way.
If you're trying to do an X-Men thing,
yeah,
at X-Men's core is always the characters, right? Like, you care about Storm and Cyclops and Wolverine and Jean Grey. Like,
I think it has a really rough intro. So I've only played. I won't even lie to anybody out there. I've only played it for 45 minutes, and I kind of fell right the fuck off of it. And I don't know if I'll go back in. Maybe I will. It's possible. There's been a part of me that's been nagging at me to be like, you should give it at least another chance to really see if maybe it picks up or something. But then again, I know kind of where it's going because I played the demo a little bit. So I do get a sense of where it's going to lead to here and there. They're definitely going for like a very inclusive cast where like, I believe I want to say one character is like a transgender person, and you know they have the black girl is the lead character, and then she has another friend, and And then there's another guy. I don't really know all their deals or anything like that, but I commend it for that. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
But like, it starts off super weird, right? You're basically, you've done this job, but they don't really tell you what the job was. But it was a really big deal that you did it. And then they're kind of showing you kind of like the worst spots of these characters. Like, you don't even know them yet. You don't really have any reason to like them, but they're already like, do you trust this person? I'm like, I don't fucking know them. I have no idea who they are. There's spots where it's like, this is going to be a really important decision, what you do here. Okay, so they set it up to where like this, you were getting raided, almost like Underground Railroad type thing, where it was like, okay, we have to go to this place and they're going to get us on this bus that's going to take us, they're going to Canada. Okay. So you get in there and you help this person out, and they take you down into the basement, and there's a big setup down there. And like this one girl goes to the bathroom and she's in there for a while, and then it gets like the authorities show up and they're talking to this lady, and you're like, oh man, we got to get out of here because they might be onto us or whatever. And so you have to get her out of the bathroom. And I thought I did a cool thing where I was looking at all the stuff in the environment, and I found jerky, and it was like, would you like to offer it to them? And I was like, I guess maybe that'll work. And they got really pissed off at me for doing that, which was kind of funny, but at the same time, it immediately turned me against the character. I don't know why. I was just like, I was trying to be nice. Fuck you. Like, what the hell?
Right.
That's not, I think it's kind of both clever and pisses me off at the same time, because I don't know. There's something about it.
Does it have that feeling of, because this was definitely an issue with choices in the 360 era, where it was like a very binary thing where if you did this, then it was going to piss this person off. Or if you did the other thing, then the reverse would happen, but someone was going to get pissed off regardless.
Yeah, not really, not so much like that, but they're definitely going down the path of like, you're kind of going to be the leading cause of what route this character goes. And they kind of like spell that out for you. Like they may become somebody that uses their heart to make decisions, or they're going to be a fighter. And it's like, okay, I don't know. Something about it just wasn't really appealing to me. And maybe it was just the time that I was playing it or whatever. It has combat and stuff. The combat is like fine. I remember that from the demo. It isn't anything you're going to write home about or anything like that, but it's perfectly serviceable. It's doing a lot of stuff.
Right.
It was kind of going to come down to like how well that stuff meshed in the end. But like it also has one of those things that upsets me, where not so much that you're okay, they'll set you in an environment and there's one thing that will progress the scene, right? And if you don't click on all the things, then you'll miss out on that stuff. But they don't tell you which thing progresses the scene, where it was like, hey, do you want to sit down with these people and talk to them? But there's a bunch of other stuff to do as well. And I was like, well, okay, but I guess I'll sit down, because this doesn't seem it, for whatever reason at the time, it didn't seem like that progressed the scene, but that's super progressed. It was super the thing I was supposed to do. And I was like, oh, I guess I missed out on a lot of the other stuff in this person's house that I could have looked at to try to maybe figure out more stuff about it. So I guess there's no like real going back or anything and being like and reloading it. It's just kind of auto saving as it goes. At least it felt that way. I don't know.
That's where, I know people like complain about it, but that's where that like kind of internal character monologue is really helpful, where they could, the Life is Strange games are really good about that, where, it could be like, well, I feel like there's still stuff that I could look around here at, or maybe I should just like talk to them.
And they do two things here for that, and both of them I hate.
Okay.
They do, they're doing a thing where like the player character is kind of like, they haven't really explained this yet, so maybe this goes an interesting place. I don't know, but like it feels like the player character is kind of a voice inside the character you're playing as's head. So, and they're kind of having like this back and forth a little bit, which is interesting. That stuff is fine. The thing I really dislike that they do, and it's a cool idea in concept, but when you're playing it, it's super fucking annoying. Instead of just clicking on a thing to look at it, right? They preview what that thing is before you click on it. Now, and they do this with everything. So it is if you press the button, it will show like a preview of what this thing is. Like it'll be like the character's thoughts about it, or like sometimes it'll be a different little thing about that, like the player whatever the player is in this game, their thoughts or something like that. Along those lines, it'll give you a little blurb about what this thing that you're looking at is, and then there's a hold, and then you hold the button to interact with it. So you're constantly like, sometimes you forget, because normally you're just like, okay, click on the thing and it's going to tell me everything I need to know about this or whatever. So you're just like, you'll click the button and it's like, oh, nothing. All right, I got to hold the fucking button. And it's a slow hold. It just kind of slows the game down to a snail's pace, and I don't care for it.
I cannot stand hold to interact.
Oh, yeah, it's hold to interact.
Yeah. Like, I get it in certain situations because, because there are times when it's like, oh, I hit that button by accident and now like we've transitioned into a completely different room or whatever.
Right.
But like, I think the solution there is just like have it be a different button for that type of interaction, right? Like context sensitive buttons used to be a thing, and it's not. Honestly, now it is more the whole.
If they wanted to do that, I honestly, what you mentioned sounds way better. Just have the thoughts out loud or something. If you want to do like an inner monologue type thing, just have that be, just state that out loud when you get near the object. And then cool, I know everything I need to know before I interact with that thing.
Yeah.
It'd totally work, but they don't do it that way. They want the press to hold thing. And I'm just like, man, that shit was like kind of just irritating. Like it I don't know. It just kind of slows the game down a lot. It's already slow moving, and I don't know. It just wasn't clicking with me. And maybe I'll go back in and try it again, and it could be me. So I did read a review for it before I bought it, and a lot of like where they've said the story kind of goes, it was not the most positive review in the world. And it was, I can't remember. I think it was an IGN or GameSpot, or it was somebody I've seen reviews from before. It wasn't like just some rando website or whatever. And it was kind of like, it's got some okay ideas. The game they compared it to was one that I didn't like before, which was Road 96. And that, I don't know if you remember that game, Julian.
I do, yeah.
And I was like, I didn't vibe with that one either. So, and a lot of the things they were talking about where the story goes, I was like, oh boy, if that's where they're going, I'm not sure if I'm in for that.
Gotcha.
The only thing I really dislike, that I hate that I don't like this game that much, at least so far, is it's getting like review bombed, it seems like, by the fucking worst kind of people. So it's one of those, and I'm just like, man, that sucks, because the marketing for this game just feels non-existent. Like it just feels like,
I wouldn't have known about it unless you had told me about it around Next Fest. And then that first trailer looked right up my alley, so right. I had this kind of on my radar.
Yeah, it's neat, but and maybe if I go back in, I'll get a little further in and be like, okay, no, I'm coming around to this. This is fine. It could have been just wasn't in the mood for it, but like, no, I don't feel like that was it, because when I booted it up, I was like, no, let's go for it. Let's see what this is all about. And then I started going, I was like, I don't know, man, this is just not vibing with it right now. Just a culmination of a lot of things. It was just not quite adding up for me. And that's Dustborn. It's kind of a bummer. Two things that aren't a bummer. One thing real quick, big shout out to my friend from work, Lonnie, who bought me a bunch of Street Fighter comics that I've been going through, and they're really cool.
Hell yeah.
Those are pretty neat. But so big thank you to him. But the thing I'm very, very high on, higher than I feel like you would have imagined me being on, maybe. And thank goodness you're here to hear all about it, Julian. Because thank goodness you're here is a video game that's fucking really great. I love that game.
Oh, word? Okay.
I fucking love that game. It is definitely not for everyone. The humor is either gonna work for you or not, but I feel like it's one of the it may be the funniest game I've ever played. Like, humor's hard to pull off in video games. I don't think almost any of them get it right to me. I was trying to think of games that I legitimately find funny without them being like, no, we're taking this shit dead seriously, but the game is just kind of bad and that's funny to Justin, right. Kind of thing. Not those. Like, no, they went for comedy and they nailed it. And I was trying to think of some. There's been a couple. Like, there's one game I have on Steam here, and I always forget the name of it. I played it kind of on a hiatus one time. Shit, I'm never gonna remember it now. Never mind, I remember it. There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension or something like that. That game was pretty funny, but it wasn't like it. This one I think is way funnier than that one, but it depends on what you think is funny. Because this one's very much in the British absurdist humor category, which I fucking love.
And let me just say, as someone who has spent a lot of time over the past 5 years talking to Justin Ham, notoriously difficult to make laugh.
Yes, the intro of this game, I went in. So I bought it when I bought Crime Scene Cleaner and Madden. Because I was just like, well, I want something to stream, which was going to be Crime Scene Cleaner. And then I was like, but what if that game sucks? I guess I'll have this one as a backup. I kind of want to check it out anyway, so let's do that. And then I was like, all right, well, I bought the game, let's play it. And then immediately from the intro, I was just like, okay, that was legit fucking great. Because it was just like commercials. Like, there was a bit about peens. They're not quite peas, they're not quite beans, but they're a happy medium in between or something like that. And I was just like,
that is some stage select shit right there.
It's
for sure.
Great. Oh, yeah. It's good. Fucking and Tiny Tom's Tiny Pies. You simply won't get tinier, Julian. It's great, man. Oh man, it's been a while since like I've just walked around just quoting a thing. But I just find myself just walking around quoting this fucking game all the time now. I did it at the beginning of the episode, so there you go. But just the intro. Like, there's a part in the intro. Like, okay, there's the tiny pie guy, right? There's also a guy who makes big pies, and like the opening of the commercial is just a man opens the door with a bag of pies, and he just says, Martha, get out the big plates. And for some reason, that shit kills me. It's great.
No, yeah, that's good.
It's really good. It's really good. Yeah. Oh man, it's one of the,
okay. What is this though? Because
yes.
I did hear Gersman talk about it, but I kind of ended up tuning out a little bit because the way that he was talking about it didn't sound like it was up my alley.
Okay, so basically, you're a tiny man. You're just a tiny man. And you have two buttons. You have a jump button and you got a slap button. That's it. And you're walking around and you just slap shit. And when you slap something, sometimes you will talk to somebody, and sometimes they'll just make a noise. They'll be like, "Ow." That's it. And that's really the game. That's really it. You're just walking around and there's like it's kind of puzzly, but not really.
Okay, because I got the impression it was super puzzly, and that's why I was really shocked when you started to go in on this.
No, it's really not. The puzzles in it are like good. You can do them in your sleep if there are any. But it's basically just walk around and interact with the world that they built. It's like, okay, a guy is trying to open a steel girder or a steel a gate, like a garage door type thing. And so you okay. How do you help him open it? Okay, you just go over and you try slapping him. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, slap the door. All right, the thing opens. Great, cool, done. And then like it opens up, and then it's just a brick wall. And that turns out it's Nick's bricks. He just sells the bricks out of the brick wall. It's great.
Is it set in modern day or is it like a medieval thing?
Just its own universe, whatever the hell it is. It's the animation is, to me, it reminds me of like regular show, just looks wise, not really like humor wise, maybe, but like just looks wise. It looks like a very well animated thing. There are like full blown animated sequences that I was like, wow, this is actually like they really fucking went for this. Like, I mean, right in the beginning of the game, it's like, hey, this guy needs you to help him mow his lawn. So you get on the lawnmower, and then it just switches views all the way to this zoomed out thing where your guy is slowly getting closer as you hold over or whatever, and you just go back and forth like that, and he's slowly getting closer to the screen, and then things happen. It's really good. It's really, really, cool. It takes about like 3 hours, and that's like on the high end of it. I've already played it like a time and a half now. I got all the way like halfway through it, and I was like, okay, I can probably stop, but man, this is a really good game. Yeah, I really, really like it. It's really great. I was starting to get the feeling that like I was like, I could see this definitely wearing on its welcome in a little while. Like, let's see where it goes. And as soon as that thought even entered my brain, it was like, oh no, we're wrapping up. We're done. Cool. Awesome. Like, perfect. Yeah, no, it's great. There's some really, really great bits in there. Really good game. If it's your I would say this, to know if it's your style of thing, just watch like the opening X amount of minutes, and if that gets you got nothing to lose. It'll be great. But at the same time, I could see the amount of time to beat it, being a thing for some people. So if you see it on a sale or something, by all means, pick it up. It's one of my favorite things that I've played this year, though, for sure.
And that's thank goodness you're here.
Thank goodness you're here.
Okay.
That's the name of the game, so nobody's confused. Thank goodness you're here.
Yes. Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I might actually take a closer look at that.
I loved it. I can't guarantee, again, it's comedy. It doesn't, everybody has a different sense when it comes to that. So,
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Cool.
And now, and now, a word from our sponsors.
NWP News Now, I'm John Bivens. A politician kicked his opponent to death today in an altercation that stemmed from an ad campaign accusing the attacker of being anti-tomato. Kyle Carboy has more. I mean, yeah, he just screamed, "I'll fight you with my legs," and kicked the guy to death. Thank you, Kyle. A Nebraska school teacher has been accused of not believing in corn, leaving the state officials baffled. When NWP News asked the governor of Nebraska about the story, he replied, "I mean, I don't get it. Our entire state is basically made out of this stuff." And finally, a Seattle resident found $5 on the ground outside a local coffee shop. He celebrated with his wife and 2 children by burning the coffee shop to the ground. For NWB News, I'm John Bivens.
Well, we do not have questions, comments, and concerns this week. I will say that if you have questions, comments, or concerns, there are plenty of ways to reach us.
Yeah.
You can email us. Our email address is thestateselectpod@gmail.com. You can DM us on Twitter @StateSelectPod. Comment on the show on YouTube. If you're a patron, you can comment on the Patreon post. And as always, there is a questions, comments, and concerns channel in our Discord.
Yeah.
The link for that is in our link tree in the show notes.
But today we're a perfect podcast. We don't have any comments or concerns. So
yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
Awesome. But we like hearing from you guys.
Yes.
So by all means, let her rip. But I guess, I don't know how long we'll spend on this, but we could talk a little bit about like Gamescom / opening night live stuff before we get out of here.
Yeah, sure. I admittedly was telling Julian before the show that I don't remember much from it, and didn't quite see anything, but maybe going over this stuff will actually refresh my brain.
Yes. So before we get started, I wrote this down to remind myself because I didn't see it on this list, and I understand why. Peter Molyneux is back.
Yeah.
And so for context, I really loved Peter Molyneux back in the day.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people give him shit, for like him like being a liar. I maintain that back in like the Xbox 360 era and stuff like that, I don't think that he was outright trying to lie as much as it was they were shooting for the moon and he really thought that they could make it and they never quite did. But I always appreciated him shooting for the moon.
Yeah, eventually you got to put something out. And
yes.
Yeah.
Now, his shit after he left Lionhead is
a different story. Yeah. That's when we get into some weirdo bullshit. And that's where my view of him kind of goes down a little bit. So...
Yeah, and that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, because I heard, this was like kind of the big thing from all the podcasts to listen to. This was like the thing they led with also. Because it's kind of a big deal. He hasn't really been in the public eye in a while. But I kept hearing people saying like, oh yeah, like, he's a huckster and like even like on one hand, I respect him for it. But on the other hand, like it's a shitty thing to do, blah, blah, blah. And here he is back doing the same thing. And I'm like, but he's not, though. This presentation was like a very subdued Molyneux. Like, he was not out there making any bold claims. He wasn't, like saying this is like the greatest thing we've ever made or anything like that.
No.
He was like, hey, I wanted to make something kind of similar, like kind of like what we've done in the past, but with a new twist on it. I got a lot of the old Lionhead people on this team, and we got some other people that have worked on similar games. Yep. And, he felt like almost apologetic about coming out and talking about his game.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it's called, I forget.
Heroes of Albion, if I remember.
Heroes of Albion, thank you. And now people might think, oh, he's just ripping off Fable, but apparently Albion is like kind of an old-timey way to refer to Britain.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. They just happen to use that as the name of the realm in the Fable series. But anyway, it's a God game, and I will say, like, what he showed, like, it looked rough. It also looked like kind of geared for like everything that you can play it on, right down to like mobile. If you wanted to.
I could see that too.
And it had like a lot of charm to it. Like, I don't usually play games like this, but I was like, oh, it's kind of neat that like, you have this like God hand and you can use it to like pick people up and toss them around. Right. And, it looked like very easy to like modify and build buildings. And they went as far as like, you're actually like making sandwiches and choosing what ingredients to put on them. Like real nitty gritty stuff like that. That's kind of cute and fun. And then at any time you can actually like inhabit like the body of any of the villagers and control them in third person, which admittedly looked kind of rough.
Right.
But it's cool that you can do it. Right. And I just thought, hey, like, that's cool. Like, I hope that it ends up doing something and it ends up being a good game.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to see him back, but I can't stress enough that like it was a very different Peter Molyneux, and I think it was kind of unfair of the shit that people were like kind of ascribing to what he was showing and what he was saying.
Yeah,
because it's like, this isn't how he was talking about Fable or I forget what the Connect thing was.
I forgot what the fuck that was called too. Yeah, that was the
My
one.
Doll, but it's not My Doll. That's
I know which one you're talking about, and I feel like everybody else does too, but I can't remember what the hell the name of it was off the top of my head.
but it's not that, right? It was like, no, we've got this thing, and we've been working on it, and I think it's going to be fun, and like it was a very low key thing, and I was like, okay,
yeah. He had another one after that thing that was like,
all the 22 cans stuff was rough,
not great.
Goddess was apparently a debacle. I don't know what he worked on after that.
A lot of Yeah, so it's tough. He's one of those people that unfortunately his reputation precedes him.
Yeah, Project Milo.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Didn't look it up. That's just on the dog. That's off the.
There you go. I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm right here. He didn't look at anything up. I'll vouch for it, even though I can't see his hands or his computer screen. So
yeah. Oh, you don't want to do it. No, you don't want to know what I'm doing with my hands.
I probably don't, Julian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have this list that IGN put up of like most of the games that were at the show, and I think we can just kind of go through.
Yeah.
Real quick for me, the more I see of the first Berserker Kazan, the more I'm into it.
Okay.
This is that like kind of barbarian looking dude from the DNF universe. It's like a character action with a little bit of. It seems like it's going for a bit of the Souls formula with like kind of big one-on-one boss battles that are going to like test you, but then kind of seems like you can go ham on regular enemies. The new trailer, like I was listening to it, like, is that Ben Starr? And then he confirmed that, Ben Starr, he's playing the main character. It's like, okay,
that's cool.
I'm much more interested now. Like, I'll listen to that guy read the fucking phone book. So that's looking really cool to me. Surprisingly, I'm super excited about Marvel Rivals, Justin.
That is kind of surprising, but I could see you getting into that. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked what I played of Overwatch.
Yeah.
I like that this is third person. I'm liking the overall look, so the trailer they showed at Opening Night Live was Captain America and Bucky. I think Captain America looks a little bit too techy in his like costume, and also his shield is kind of evoking shades of his holographic shield that he wore in the 90s for a little bit. I wasn't a big fan of. But the gameplay looks fun, and then they dropped the big bombshell at the end of the trailer, which is all characters unlocked and free to play from launch and going forward.
Oh.
And it's like, Overwatch is done.
Yeah. Well, it could be. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get people over, but if anything can do it, it's a Marvel license, so.
Yeah. I think my big worry about it is that they do put a premium on doing like team up attacks and stuff like that. And like I'm so much of a multiplayer gamer to begin with that's kind of an extra ask that I'm not into.
Right.
I kind of just want to like get in there as like, Iron Man or the Punisher and shooty shoot.
I also wonder if the as dumb as this will sound, I also wonder for the Overwatch crowd to bring them over, if the perspective would be a thing.
It could be,
because you're almost splitting the difference between your Overwatch people and your Fortnite people. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But like I said, if anything can do it, it's a Marvel license. So
yeah, and this looks super polished.
Doesn't look bad.
So yeah, we will definitely see, but it's definitely on my radar, and it's free to play, like I said. So like, it's coming out in December. I will definitely take a look.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess next up for me, I am interested in playing Age of Mythology because I want to get into one of these types of games, and this is going to be on Game Pass, and it feels like something that might be able to finally get me there. Okay. One of the other big ones at this show was like they showed off gameplay of Civ 7.
Yeah.
And that's another one where it's like I've always wanted to try those games, but they're very intimidating to me. And I also don't know if I have the brain for them.
I'm going to tell you right now, I like Civ is probably more of a better place to start for some of that stuff. It seems like, yes, I need big brain to do it, but they really, if memory serves, they ease you into a lot of that stuff as long as you're kind of like, because they have like scenarios and stuff, and they'll be like, okay, how about you try for this thing here, and then slowly over the course, and then they set you loose and you can kind of do whatever. But they, if I remember right, at least Civ 6 did. So that would maybe be a good place to start. I don't know much about Age of Mythology. Is this an RTS though?
Yeah, I think so. This is the one where like you can actually like summon like your god, like as an avatar to like do stuff for you. Yeah,
this looks very much RTS. Hold on,
it might be.
Which if it is this, that's
Civ is turn based, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which that's why I would say maybe that would be a better place to start if you're looking at that stuff. Let's Google it real quick and see if I can find what kind of fucking game. Yeah, real time. It's an RTS. So
okay.
Yeah,
that might be a little much then.
That one, everything, there's moving parts and all that stuff. So yeah. I wondered because
I wonder.
Go ahead.
If it has a blend of if it's a game where you can pause it though, because like you probably was surprised. I was surprised at how much I got into that aspect of Unicorn Overlord.
Yeah,
and really loved
so
that.
Yeah,
bit of it.
You know what? Actually, yeah, you may could get into something like that. Depends because those RTSs are always kind of like mouse and keyboard, games for the most part.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something about the look of Age of Mythology that makes me think that it is trying to appeal to a more casual.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Player.
You might as well give it a shot. If it's on Game Pass or whatever, why not?
Exactly.
What do you got to lose? Let's see what else was on here. Civ 7 that looked pretty good. I did watch that.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it looks nice. I want to play. I'll play it for sure.
Yeah,
I haven't touched 6 in so long. But when I did play 6, holy shit, did I play 6? So that's definitely a thing.
Yeah. The Altars is one that I actually this has been shown a couple times, and I didn't see anything of this from Gamescom. They're just listing it as something that was playable at the show.
Yeah,
but I did see like a trailer that was a more gameplay focused one. This is one where it kind of reminds me of Moon, the movie with Sam Rockwell. Although I guess that kind of spoils Moon. Sorry. But anyway,
you can always edit that out.
It's an old movie.
Okay,
you should still watch it if you haven't seen it. It's an excellent like performance by Sam Rockwell. But it's like this guy is living on like an alien planet, and I think the idea is to like work on terraforming it or something.
Oh,
but the entire staff is just clones of him.
I'm kind of going through as I go, and as soon as you said that, I seen the screenshot of that. I watched somebody play this. I can't remember where the hell I watched that at.
Yeah, I think there was some sort of demo at some point.
Yes, it was on the Steam Next Fest. I remember that about it, and I believe I watched Nextlander play it. And it was neat. It was definitely neat. It's like almost like a survival game type of thing, if I remember correctly. But it has some different shit going on where like you're like creating clones of yourself or whatever.
Yeah, and the game is doing this kind of cool thing where like I think like they will split slightly genetically and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so they're all slightly different.
Yeah,
they will have like different personality traits and stuff like that. So,
right.
And I think that part of it is like simulated. Like it's not necessarily like you don't actually know what you're going to get until you clone yourself.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It sounds really interesting. And it's got a bit of like a, not so much sim as I'm trying to think of the term for it. It's like I guess like a management sim.
Yeah,
type of
kind
thing.
of. Yeah, it has that side view of the management sim style going on. So there you go. Let's see. I'm scrolling through here.
Okay, well, before we scroll too far, Unknown 9 Awakening admittedly has a bad name. I saw a lot of people making fun of that. I think the game looks really cool. I remembered seeing it when it was first shown off and thinking it looked cool, and then this new trailer made me think even more that it looks really cool. It's like a pretty neat like character action thing. I think she can do some sort of like possession mechanic. like, it looks really nice. I actually, it is on my radar, and I'm looking forward to checking that out when it comes out.
Yeah.
But again, name is like it. The only way that the title could be worse is if it was Legends instead of Awakening.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, so looking at it here, man, nothing about it pops out, and the name makes you just go, okay, I can move on.
Right.
So
you gotta see it in motion, and then it's like, oh no,
seeing it in motion may change my mind though. So yeah, I'll have to check that out at some point. Yeah. Now I'm scrolling.
Now I'm scrolling.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff here that I'm like, all right. They did announce Borderlands 4. That's fun.
They did.
Yeah.
And that I think was getting like a lot of like unfair flack once again, like because of the movie. Like, again, this weird like how somehow a movie like invalidates like an entire game franchise that sells fuck tons every time a game comes out.
I'll grant you it does sell a lot, but honestly, to me, it would get a ton of flack after playing 3. So
no, and I totally get that, and I've kind of bounced off of the Borderlands series every time. I've tried all of them, and I invariably bounce off.
Yeah, but
there are 2 things that they could, well, or actually 3 things that they could do to actually make me interested and possibly excited for a Borderlands 4. Third person perspective that you can toggle between.
Yeah, never.
Well, I think a toggleable one.
Yeah, maybe, but I doubt they'll do it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Actual gear for your character besides your guns, like actually, like
and
armor and stuff like that.
That I could get into. Yeah.
And then also like let's work on the cringiness of like the dialogue and the characters for sure. Right?
They're either going to double the fuck down on it, or I don't know. I don't know, Julian. I don't know. I don't trust what they do. I'll check it out maybe when it comes out. It's gonna be one of those things where I'm like, I'm not spending money on that until I am sure that it's fine.
Yeah, well, and I'll never forget, like, hey, you want to play this with me? And you're like, yeah, sure. And then we played it together once, and then you just proceeded to beat the game after that. I was like,
I didn't beat it. I played it for a while, but I never beat it. No, I never got that far.
Okay.
Yeah, I played it for a little while longer, but like, and I to their credit on that stuff, when you're in a situation like that where you're playing it with somebody else, they do a good job of like, oh yeah, I could just go back and it'd be fine. I would just have some other guns but I would get stuff still and it'd be fine. You have a good time doing that. They do a good job with the drop in, drop out multiplayer stuff that they're going for with the loot system, they have going. But yeah.
Okay, I'm confused.
What?
IGN has Worms Armageddon as listed here. And I clicked on it because I was like, wait, is it coming to something else? And I don't see anything when I click on it. It's just like the Worms Armageddon page on IGN with the review and everything. Yeah. Because if Worms Armageddon is coming to a modern platform, I'm super fucking excited about that. That's my favorite Worms. But it does, okay. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Got no idea. I clicked on it just to see if that was true. And you are right. It's just that. So fuck if I know. Let's see. V Rising. It's been out for a while. Some of this stuff has been out for a while. This is just stuff that was on the show floor. Yes. Police Simulator Patrol Officers holding it the fuck down, baby. Here's one that I actively don't want to play, but it seems like it would be up my alley. Just because I don't know what it is about this. The game Date Everything. If I remember right, it's made by the person that made that one game. I've forgotten it already. It was the one where my exact criticism was this game is trying to do way too much shit. And it was you were a girl and you went back to your hometown and you were it had like RPG mechanics and skateboarding.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot the fucking name of it.
Not Venba.
No.
But I know the one you're talking about because I didn't end up playing it because of what you had said about it.
I wasn't high on it, but other people really liked it, and that's fair. I keep thinking they're the ones that made it, but maybe I have that confused with something else. Now I'm trying to figure that out. Let me look into that.
You might be right, actually, because I want to say that that's what I had heard.
I know they showed something off recently, and I feel like it was this thing.
Hold on. Oh no, they're only listed as making this as far.
It's okay, so it's not them. Yeah, well,
but you're right. I remember hearing about something from the people that made that game.
Yeah.
Announced.
Now I'm trying to fucking remember what the hell that name of that game was. So maybe this is a different thing.
Yeah.
So this might actually be fine then. I'm getting it confused with a different thing. Actually, okay, this might actually be pretty all right. Now I'm on the Steam page for it, and I'm like, okay, this actually might be pretty interesting. I could see myself fucking with this actually. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. This seems fine. I'm now it's going to haunt me until I fucking find the name of that. But go move on without me, Julian. I'm on a mission.
I'm actually getting to the bottom of the list, and I'm not seeing much else. I mean, Space Marine 2, but that's kind of like a known quantity.
A lot of the stuff is known quantity shit.
Yeah, just waiting for him to come out, really. Yeah. Avowed is another one that apparently, like, previews have been very positive.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Well, let me get this out of the way first before I talk about the last thing.
Okay.
One thing that was shown, and I don't remember, I don't know if this was the first time it was shown or if this was actually earlier this summer, but a new game from Don't Nod called Lost Records Bloom and Rage is very much up my alley. It gives me very strong Paper Girls vibes, which is a graphic novel or a comic series from Image that I think that was that Michael K. Vaughan?
I got no idea.
But it's the same writer as Saga, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But that I didn't finish it, but I really liked what I had read of it. I read like a good, like, I don't know, 16, 18 issues of it or something like that.
Right.
But it's kind of a dual setting. It starts with like these two women like kind of meeting at a diner, and they haven't seen each other in a long time, and they're talking about like when they were teenagers and they formed this band in the 90s. And so it's got like very strong, like, 90s, like coming of age vibes to it, which I'm totally here for. And in like traditional Don't Nod fashion, like there's a lot of like choices to be made as far as like how you treat people and stuff like that. But then in the present, there's something weird and possibly supernatural going on with this package that popped up on one of the girls' doorsteps.
Okay.
And it's kind of, unraveling that mystery. And it looks like they're doing the episodic thing again. It says tape 1 is February of next year. Tape 2 is a month later in March. I don't know if that's supposed to be the entire thing.
Yeah.
Or if that's just the beginning of it. But it's definitely
it looks cool
on my radar.
It looks cool for sure.
I love the look of it. It looks really nice.
All right. My mission was accomplished.
Excellent.
The game that I couldn't remember was Thirsty Suitors.
That
was the name. Yes. It was going to drive me insane. Yeah. And they are working on a different game that is on Steam right now. But I remember seeing this, but I don't remember. It's called Project Dosa, which I'm not sure is the actual name of the game. It might just be.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, but it's like you got a little robot and you're walking around in the robot. You'd have to look it up. It's got a very unique look to it.
I think if this is the thing I'm thinking of, this might be one of the things that was shown from. You remember when the Among Us developers came out and said that they were starting that like.
Yeah. That's where I remember that from. Yeah.
Outer Loop Games. Yeah.
Yes, Outer Loop
This is one of the things that they showed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this did look very cool.
Yeah.
Very different from Thirsty Suitors.
Yeah, Thirsty Suitors is it's not bad. It's trying to do a lot, and I thought it was trying to do too much personally.
Yeah.
But it's a perfectly serviceable game and decent. But I just didn't click with it. Oh man, I really need to see if that's out right now. I'm sorry. I need to see if Ambulance Life is available for me to buy.
Well, I guess the thing that I'll close on is something, because this is kind of a rant that I had regarding, and I know it's kind of, gauche to call out other podcasters, but like, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
They showed more Indiana Jones at opening night live, right? And it continues to look like an Indiana Jones thing, which is not interesting to me because I'm not necessarily a fan of those movies all that much. The main thing for me, the only reason I'm really interested at all is because Machine Games is involved, and I love those Wolfenstein games.
Okay, yeah.
To the point that I'm a little upset that this is being made, because I feel that like this is going to fail, and then they are going to shut down Machine Games, and I'm never going to get my showdown between BJ Blazkowicz and Hitler.
Yeah, that is actually very concerning to some degree. Yeah,
it is. It really is, especially because apparently they were still doing hands-off demonstrations of this game at Gamescom, and it's like, yo, this thing is out in 3 months. Like, how has nobody touched it yet? Like, that is a bad sign. It hasn't
looked super great to me since I've seen it. So
yeah, same here.
Yeah,
but the big announcement there are two big announcements. One was the release date, and I forget what that was. It doesn't matter.
It was in December sometime. I can't remember either. Late or early December. I want to say it was late. It was pretty late in December's late period. So
I think it's taking Avowed's previous slot.
It's possible
because that's around the time that Avowed was supposed to come out.
Yeah,
and the reason apparently they delayed Avowed was not because of quality issues. It was actually just to get it out of the way of other stuff.
Yeah,
which is nice to hear.
Yes.
The big announcement was that it is going to be coming to the PlayStation 5 spring of next year.
Okay.
And so Pat on Castle Super Beast, he got out, he was like, this quote is from Phil Spencer in February.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to get the actual quote, which will kind of probably, be a gotcha moment when I start talking about this in a moment, but bear with me.
Okay.
So the quote was along the lines of, it was when they announced that like those first 4 Xbox games were going to become multi-platform, Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment and Grounded, and I forget what the other one was.
Yes.
Sea of Thieves.
Right.
And the question was like, is this something that we should expect going forward? And he said something along the line of like, we should never rule anything out. We're always looking at our business model and what to do with our games and everything. And this is not to say that we're going to be doing this with every game. We looked at these and decided we wanted to try this. In the future, you shouldn't expect that like all games are going to come out, like the floodgates are open and everything's going to come out on every platform, but it's something to think about.
Yeah.
And Pat says, so he actually lied about games like Starfield and this one coming to other platforms, and it's like, that is not what he said. He left it completely open for the possibility of this happening in the future.
Yeah.
You can't just twist it to like make a point, because that's not what happened. And it's just more of what I'm on about lately, about like just people like taking in information and then not processing said information, and then outputting like a completely wrong opinion on like, it's not even an opinion. It's like just completely wrong statement about it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what's going on. Now, is it a good idea? I don't think so. I think it's kind of shocking that they would announce this ahead of the actual game coming out on Xbox.
Yeah.
And also that's really soon. That's only like one business quarter away from the initial release.
I also think this could be a trial run too, for maybe they are going to start doing that going forward. I'm telling you, man, Xbox, in my opinion, is they're looking for an excuse to get out of the fucking hardware game. Like, I feel like they just want out of there.
Well, but I think that is kind of the end game is that they want to have Game Pass everywhere.
Yes.
And also be like, now that they own all these studios, it's like, okay, also we can make a shit ton of money selling all of these games everywhere, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Now with Indiana Jones, this stinks of Disney. I bet that they were like, there's no way
they're letting them put that fucking game out without it going everywhere. They want to maximize the profits to whatever degree they can. Absolutely.
Especially with it being on, because at first I was thinking, well, there's no way that you would have a licensed game be platform exclusive, but then Spider-Man exists, right? On
that's
PlayStation.
True. Yeah.
Wolverine exists. But that's also the leading, between these two consoles.
Yeah.
Switch notwithstanding, that's a different beast. It is the leading of these two, of the big consoles, right?
Right. But also, they are Sony properties.
That's also true.
Yes.
Well, Wolverine isn't. But Spider-Man is.
I think to some degree it is, though. I feel like there's...
No.
Isn't?
Because Wolverine would have been with Fox, and now Fox is owned by Disney wholesale. So he comes along with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But you were definitely right about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's definitely a Sony thing. At least they have still some sort of thing with that. Yeah, right. So, and they also put it on PC too.
Well, yeah, and again, like I've said in the past, like when I'm talking about consoles, I'm not talking about PC. I understand.
No, I know. I get it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I can definitely see Disney when they made this. Well, because they wouldn't have made this deal with Microsoft initially, right? Like this would have been with
Bethesda, I believe. Yeah, yes. I think I believe it got announced after they got bought, but yeah,
it got announced after, but they would have been working on it.
Yeah,
before
probably.
That.
Yeah,
so. Absolutely, this was not intended to be an exclusive. I also don't think that the Blade game is intended to be an exclusive to the Xbox.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
That's tough to call, actually. I'm not 100% sure.
Because initially, when Microsoft started to make the moves to acquire a bunch of new studios and also make Game Pass a thing, my thinking was, this is how they try to win people back to their console is, we've actually got really good exclusives again. And also for a low monthly fee, you can play these exclusives, and whatnot. But then after the Activision acquisition, it definitely seems like now they're more in a spot where they're not so much interested in trying to get people back to the console platform itself. They really prefer to either sell you the game directly, or sell you Game Pass, And I think that's kind of the ultimate,
And like you said when I said the hardware thing, I think the goal is to just be like, hey, what if we just became like a publisher, but we also have this Game Pass thing, and that's how we get this on everything, and then we just fucking do that.
I honestly so I do think that there will be another Xbox thing after this generation, but I wouldn't be surprised if what that device is more of a Steam Deck that plugs into your TV.
See it. Yeah,
and it's also not intended to necessarily compete 1-to-1 with like the PlayStation 6 as much as it is. If you want to play these Xbox games like on the go, here you go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can either buy them on your PlayStation 6, or if you have PC, you can like get Game Pass and get them that way.
Yeah. Almost. I could. Yeah. Just almost like a Switch type thing where, you can hook it up to your TV and play it, and it's an Xbox thing. So it'll run it, so you don't have to worry about that whole shebang, but it's cheaper.
And it's not, but specifically, I don't think it's going to be like state of the art or anything like that.
No.
I could actually see it being more along the lines of current gen.
Yeah. Absolutely. But at the same time, if you're publishing these games, but then again, I don't know how far things are going to come along, graphics wise and stuff like that. Like we're getting to the point where I'm like, I don't know what else there's left to do, guys. We're almost there where I'm just like, well, how far can the graphics get good? I mean, I'm sure they can, but we're getting to the point where I'm like, but at the same time, like the technology is starting to, it's slow increments now,
It's that, but my thing also, and this is my thing going into this current generation, is that a lot of it is under the hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're still waiting on seeing like what that back end stuff does for game design as far as like faster loading times and stuff like that. But my thing also is like Inzoi is a perfect example.
Yeah.
There's no way, like if the game simulates that world the way that they're saying that they simulate that world, that couldn't have been done before.
No.
To that scale.
Right.
And that's where I see a lot of things like being.
Oh yeah, it's for sure a different.
Yeah, like I keep thinking about like what GTA 6 looks like, right? And we kind of know what to expect, like as far as like what the missions are like and what the story is like. But the thing I'm most interested in is what is that city like?
Yeah.
Right? Like I kind of want to see what they're doing with those, like how those people act and move around. And is there a little bit of that dream that I had about GTA 3 where maybe there are like, because I've been saying this for years that I wanted like, what if like you could like just encounter one of the major characters just like out and about in the world and just kill him.
Right.
And like that changes the story. Like it removes them from the board or whatever. And like maybe you break the game that way, but like give me the ability to break the game if I want to. Right.
I don't think we're quite there yet with something the scale of that.
But I'm kind of extrapolating. Like that's the type of stuff that I expect to see moving forward.
Yeah.
More so than like graphics. Yeah, they will get better.
They will a little bit, but it'll be increments, and it'll be all about like that type of thing. That'll be interesting.
The stuff that they've shown with Unreal, and again, the games are trickling out now, but like, just the fact that like now they can just get a person's facial render into the game and working in minutes instead of days.
Yeah.
Right. Like that type of stuff is hopefully transformative for game development.
Yeah.
And because my big thing that I'm always on about is there has to be a breaking point. Games can't continue to be more and more expensive to make every single year, right? At a certain point, things have to get easier with like the tool set and like the technology where those costs start to come down because it takes less time and fewer people to do things.
Well, to bring it back around, you're right. I forgot what I was going to say. Don't worry about it. No. Bring it back around though, I guess. No, I really did forget what I was going to say. Shit, I totally lost it. Fuck, man. No, damn. Sucks to be me. I fucking suck today.
Nah, it's been good.
No, there's something about like, okay, you're going to do... I got it. To bring it back around, so we're making one more Xbox, but at the same time, like I could see one more. I can see one more, right? But at the same time, at what point do they call it? Do they just go, let's just let that be everybody else's problem? Because and we'll just make the games for that technology, because like why do we need to keep making the hardware? Like I can see the box thing for like maybe. But at the same point in time, do they really need to? Like there's going to be a PlayStation 6. They're more than likely. I mean, unless something fucking crazy happens. Do you, at that point, do you still make an Xbox? Or do you just go, hey guys, the Xbox brand is this now, and we're just going to move it to here, and it's its own little thing? And
that's kind of where I'm getting at with my thought that like this next generation, they release a portable, and that is the beginning of them scaling down. And then after that, they're like, yo, it's just a puck that plugs into your TV if you want Game Pass on your TV.
Yeah, but then again, you have to get streaming technology, which that it's better now, but at the same time not quite there yet. But maybe that's where they're aiming at. Who knows?
Yeah, but I think by that point they are more of the Sega, where they are basically a game developer / publisher.
Yeah,
as far as Xbox games is concerned.
Yeah.
So then they're releasing stuff on Nintendo platforms and PlayStation platforms and PC.
Yeah, for sure.
And but because they have Game Pass, like they'll also offer some sort of little box that you can plug into your TV. If
it'll be an app or whatever on a thing
or that. Yeah. Yeah. So I do see it going that way for Xbox unless something crazy happens. And again, I keep thinking that if all of these studios can like actually make good on the stuff that they're working on, and they're all good games and successful, historically that's what sells systems. Is like if you have like the good games that you can't get on the other system, then you would buy a system for that. Now, I guess this also brings us back around to the original thing, which is it's, you know, the Indiana Jones thing. And again, I think this is more Disney than anything else. Mm-hmm. It does muddy that water where now I think people are going to start to expect that anything that is, you know, an Xbox exclusive is going to be on everything. Well, the stuff that can handle it. Yeah. But I don't necessarily see that for Avowed or Fable or Forza. It'll be again,
case by case.
Unless they all tank.
Yeah. Or it'll be case by case, or it'll be like the Sony timed exclusive thing. Right. Where it's like, yeah, it's out there now. Because like, what was that game? It was not the Bethesda, but the Dishonored people that make Dishonored, those fuckers.
Oh, Redfall, yeah.
Yeah. Arcane. Yes. The one that they made for the PlayStation 4 or 5. It was 5.
Deathloop. That was the PlayStation 5 game. Yeah.
Yes.
Originally.
Yes. And then it came out for Xbox and nobody gave a shit. Because it was a year behind
on the PlayStation either.
I mean, yeah, but people talked about it then. By then the discussion was over. Like, you know, like if that came out for free on Xbox, it would have been like a little bit more talked about, maybe.
I mean, it was because it's on Game Pass. Like you can play it right now.
No, I know. But nobody gave a shit when it came out for that because it was already out for a year. And
I think also, you know, it was like, this isn't necessarily like.
I know it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. Don't get me wrong, but like still, like that timed exclusive shit does fucking kind of matter.
It does.
Yeah.
I remember even back like in 7th generation, like when BioShock came out on PlayStation 3, and I remembered it having this like really lukewarm reception. Because the mentality was like, well, it's a year-old game, and I'm like, but it's one of the best games that's come out this generation, and now you get to play it. Like, why are you not
but it's old.
excited?
But it's the old thing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but it's a new thing for PlayStation, especially back then.
Doesn't matter.
That was when PS3 was still struggling. So
doesn't matter. People don't care. It's not the new thing. They want the newest hottest thing, and that shit's old news now. Fuck that shit. We don't care about that. We need that new shit.
But don't you feel like that mentality is kind of changing now? Because I feel that like a lot of people are actually like kind of playing things from like all over, and whether they be like a remaster or just like a backwards compatibility thing, or you know, discovering a game collection. Like I feel that like. People tend to like actually be into playing older shit.
They sometimes I don't, but I still don't think that. No, I think it is still very much video games are all about the new hotness, or at least if your game isn't the new hotness, it is how to make it the talk of the town, right? And some developers are better at it than others. Early access is a great example of that. Your game can come out in early access and people will go, wow, this thing's really cool, and be talking about it. But when it actually releases, you have to make sure people are talking about it again. Like some studios are better at it than others, you know? Like Hades was a great example of that. Like that game came out in early access. People talked about it a little bit. They're like, yeah, it seems pretty neat. And then when it actually was like, no, 1.0, it's out now. That's when, like somehow they made that pop back in the forefront. But like but there's tons of stuff that comes out in Steam all the time that just gets buried because nobody talks about it, nobody sees it. And by the time sure. There'll be times where, you know, somebody will be like, oh yeah, I played this thing that's pretty old and it's pretty cool, but the times that happens are few and far between, because there are so many video games now that like, yeah, it's all about that new hotness. Shit's just gonna get there's so many now that things will get buried. So it's tough.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple years for like the industry, and this is going to sound harsher than I mean it to sound, but I do feel that like an overall contraction to the industry at large might actually be a good thing in the long run if it means fewer games are coming out, because it allows what is coming out to shine a little bit more.
Yeah, I can see that.
There was definitely a day, especially when I was in retail, right, where it was very easy to keep up with the new hotness,
right?
Because the big games you were getting like maybe one a month,
right?
There was definitely stuff coming out weekly, but like the stuff that like really mattered, but about once a month, you know, maybe a little bit sooner than that.
Yeah,
where now it's like, you know, there's days where it's like, okay, so yeah, like 4 games that I'm interested in,
all came out at the same week. Yeah,
today.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I know.
You know, I still think back to poor Alan Wake.
Yeah.
Came out on the same day as Red Dead Redemption, and it just got buried.
A lot of my stuff I keep track of like through wish listing and stuff like that, or just mental notes of like, okay, yeah, no, I want to check that thing out. And there are times where I look at like, because there's so much that comes out now and varying degrees of quality. Sometimes I'll look at a thing and be like, that seems interesting. And then I'll kind of look at it and you got one shot. Like if I look at your trailer and I go, nah, I don't know about that, then it's probably over for it.
It's rough, man. Like, as much as I talk about like how I love like a 7 out of 10, right? Like the reality is that for your average consumer, they don't have time to fuck with a 7 out of 10 because there's so many excellent 8 and 9s out of 10 that come out weekly. Or that why would they bother?
Or quirky indie game that came out that has people talking, and that's what people are going to flock to. You know, it's whatever. And I guess that's kind of society, and the internet has made things go fast, and now you hear about stuff. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's a weird thing. And yeah, there will always be people going back to old classics and stuff like that. That's always going to be a thing.
Yeah, I feel like YouTube and also like streamer culture has really like leaned into that really well.
But it's not going to be like the main thing. You know, it's kind of a side event over here, you know, in a corner somewhere, you know, not to bury retro gaming or anything like that. It's very much still a thing that people are going to like to do, but like, it's its own little category over here. It's not the main event, you know. Right. That's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think it is fun to, you know, and I think more accessible than ever. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff that isn't accessible, but like, you know, good example is like me picking up Darksiders 1 and 2 on a sale.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it was cool that like that's playable. It's a PlayStation 4 SKU, but playable on my PlayStation 5, and you know, it was a really nice remaster, and it was cool to play through that finally after 14 years.
I will say one thing that sometimes will draw people back to older games and stuff like that, and this is one thing the digital age has kind of, you know, brought about. And I guess it could have been true in, you know, back when physical was the big thing too, but like, sometimes the sales will just be like, oh, hey, what's this thing that's I can buy for $1, or like this thing that I like half-assed remember existing, and it's like, oh, it's like $2. Yeah, sure, why not? What do I got to lose? You know, those types.
As much as
things.
I hate how that mentality has like kind of eroded people's expectations of what games should cost.
Yeah,
and that bothers me. Buying that collection for Darksiders for $573.
Yeah.
You know, was like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I got more, you know, Darksiders 1, that remaster is like, I would easily have or happily pay $30 for it now that I know what it was. Like, that's only because it's an old game. Like, if it was a newer game, then, you know, like if what I played came out this year and it was this game, I'd be all for it at a full price. It was a great game, but
yeah, for sure.
At that price point, and Sony is getting up there with Steam as far as like shit's just constantly on sale these days. Microsoft is a little bit behind on that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, that can help bring stuff to the forefront. But then again, sometimes the sales are so big and there's so much shit on sale at one time that sometimes certain things that are trying to do the same thing get buried, and it gets tough. But that can help, it's a way to get an old thing into the talking point again. But at the same time, if your game's on sale, it might be too late, so that's tough.
Yeah.
Weird industry.
One fun thing to do on Sony sales, because the first thing that I always do is I will filter to just full games, because I can't stand it when they have like all the currency and shit on sale.
Oh God, yeah,
they clogs it.
Yeah,
so I'll filter that out.
I'm glad that Steam doesn't have that shit right up on the forefront. Like, you actually have to click on the full game and then it'll show you the DLC underneath it. Like, that is one good thing.
Yeah. But the fun thing to do is, like, you filter for that and then just start scrolling down the list. And it's like, so you'll see, and I don't know if this is on purpose, but it seems to bear out every time that I do this. Mm-hmm. If you scroll far enough, eventually you start to get into, like, the shit, and then the amount of like the shittiness of the shit gets shittier like as you go down, and it's like that, and then at a certain point there's lady in a leotard with a gun.
Steam sales are roughly the same way. They're kind of like that too. Like, here's the main eventers right here, and then like you gotta go a couple pages deep to start to really get into that stuff. Yeah, but once you do,
like, oh, are you sure you want to look at this stuff?
Yeah,
like, it's on sale, but
yeah, you gotta almost like turn the training wheels off. It's because they'll show there's like a big. This is the stuff on sale, and like it's kind of almost like big pictures, and like it's obviously meant to draw your attention, and then you'll be like,
and here's the things you can also spend money on.
But there's a little button right there that says, oh, show me all the things on sale, and then that's where all the wild shit is. Yeah, but weird stuff, man.
I think that's a show, Justin.
That seems like a show, Julian.
Yeah, we went on for a bit on this one.
Sure.
So hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah.
I think we did anyway. So this is like our second audio file since the Phantom struck.
Yeah, I can't remember what the other one ended at. Yeah.
Yeah. Our call, like on Skype, says 4 hours and 15 minutes. So I don't know how much
about
of
right.
that was
we were talking for like an hour beforehand. So I'm gonna say like 3 hours and 15 minutes ish.
All right.
You can.
Never mind. I guess it was pretty average.
Yeah, it's about what we normally do, I think.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll get in and be like, what the fuck was he doing? What math was he doing? That was totally wrong.
The important thing is that you listeners enjoyed it.
Yes.
I feel that the show is really like hitting its groove. Like, last episode was my favorite one that we've done so far because it was like in editing, like the transition from like topic to topic were so seamless that it was difficult to actually like put the breaks into the show.
Oh, nice.
Well, there you go. And yeah, I think, and also now, I think we've got like, a lot of our like identity down and like our bits down and what we want to do with characters, and, we have like certain things planned on the fringes that are interesting. So
I tried to spoil something for Julian today, and he was like, I have no idea what the fuck you're planning with that. And I was like, that's good.
Yeah. I honestly thought it was for when you started talking about thank goodness
no. It's you gotta wait for it now, because I was thought about doing it earlier tonight, and I was like, no, I'm not really feeling that. I gotta work on it a little bit more. It's got some development yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can find us online, Justin.
You can find me at Tyrone_Swift on Twitter.com. I think whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm barely on there, but I will respond if you at me on things.
Yes.
You can find me on twitch.tv/TyroneSwift. Stream most Saturdays. I think this Saturday, which will be too late to listen to now, but at the same time, you can go back and watch the archive or whatever. I'm probably going to play goddamn Love Is All Around because I need to play a good one of those.
Okay.
I just got to do it. And for some reason, Tyrone Swift TV on YouTube, those are my most popular fucking YouTube videos for some goddamn reason. Like every time people watch those. I don't know why, but they do.
You know why.
I do know why.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But, that's probably what I'm going to do. So,
all right.
Unless I think of something better, which could happen. It all can change on a whim. It doesn't. You never know.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. Once again, the show is at Stage Select Pod. Thank you as always to the wonderful Megan McDuffie for our theme song and interstitial tracks. Thanks to friend of the show, John Gholson, for being our announcer and providing us with our logo and artwork. But that is going to do it for this edition of the Stage Select. I've been Julian Titus. He's been Justin Ham. We've been the Stage Select. Signing off.
The Stage Select is copyrighted and owned by Space Monkey Mafia Productions, specializing in independent podcasting. Please consider sharing the show with your friends and support us by joining our Patreon or donating to our coffee. Thank you, and good night.